and with additional certification in stroke and sleep medicine. I live and practice in Maryland, near Washington, D.C., but most importantly, I'm the graduate of Rawalpindi Medical University, 5th batch. And thank you. So it's a very proud moment for me that I was the chair of host committee for Apna winter meeting in RMU for the past 3 days. And but this session, today's 2 sessions are more close to my heart. That because I worked in with Apna Merit, which is a committee of Apna for education, research, and healthcare capacity building in Pakistan for many years, over a decade. Then we realized that while medical education and research is very important, another important aspect is the transfer of technology. And that is part of the Merit acronym. But we started looking into the startups and job creation, saving some foreign exchange, and also giving a direction to the youth of Pakistan who have a lot of talent, but may not find a way to move forward. So all of you, I really thank, because you are a leader in your own right and in your own institutions. And I cannot thank you enough for coming here today. What purpose of this whole exercise for the next 3 hours is to see the common goal, common pathway, and how we can collaborate with all of our expertise that you have. So just a brief overview today, we will have 3 sessions, and each session will be moderated by a different moderator, and there will be 4 to 5 panelists in each session, and it's more interactive discussion, because there are no speeches, there are no one monologue. It's a dialogue. And then at some point, 10:30 or so, our chief guest, Dr. Jahan Zeib, who's now secretary of SFIC, and an ex-bureaucrat, will join us. And we thought that he will be a proper guest for us, because he's in the position where we interact with them. Fawad Hassan was also invited, federal minister for privatization, but at the last minute he had a conflict, and apologize to all of you and me. So with that, I will give our worthy Vice Chancellor, very close friend and a mentor for me, a role model for me, because his energy is that we look forward to, and his vision and his dedication and sincerity to the institution in particular, and healthcare in Pakistan overall, and education. So please welcome Dr. Umar. Your remarks, sir.
Hope the recitation is already done. Okay, I can do it.
We can do the
Okay, then. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Kul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Sadaqallahu al-azim. So I think I'm very familiar with many faces from here, but my name is Dr. Muhammad Umar. I'm basically gastroenterologist and chief executive of RMU and Allied Hospital, and Vice Chancellor of Rawalpindi Medical University. I really feel honored be the part of this August gathering, as well as the mission or the tasks this gathering have. I'm already very familiar with this idea, and I appreciate the Merit and Apna and Dr. Shahid Rafiq in particular, and our President Raveli and Dr. Saqib Abbasi, that I think what we need is to learn from the first words. Not only first, but anywhere where the work is going better than us. Unless we work with the open mind and open vision, I think we lag behind. The world already have become the global village. And the great lesson learned is from the COVID. A single small virus which just, get away with washing hands can paralyze the whole mankind with 7.4 billion people. on this planet and kill more than any disease, we suffering from. So it is all, the global. So everybody is safe if you are safe if everybody is safe. You are prosperous if the whole globe is prosperous. You have a good social fabric if the whole globe is have a good fabric. So I think let's come to this session and what's the role of RMU. RMU is basically a launching pad. It is a public sector university, and anybody can work on this forum. Our role is mainly facilitators, and I really appreciate choosing RMU venue for this seminar, the innovation, our panel discussion, innovation and healthcare delivery systems. I think we are already, you are well aware, far behind the world in research and innovations. And I was just mentioning yesterday in one of the one of the panel discussions in medical education that the whole global research, only 7% is contributed by the Islamic Ummah, which is almost more than 40% of the population of the world. And out of this 7%, only 4% or 3% is by Turkey. And only rest of the 3% is by whole of the global in global perspective by the Muslim countries. And if you do not do the research, I think then you perish. The universities are deemed to create knowledge and disseminate knowledge. And I'm very happy that you have arranged this seminar, particularly at the University Forum. The first university was established in Spain and second in Morocco. I was just going through the charter of that university. And that says that university produce scholars, which produce the social change, and they work for the knowledge-based economy. And this lead to the prosperity of the society. So I think universities are, unfortunately, we haven't focused on universities like any other institution. So we lag behind because we do not produce scholars, and scholars must be produced at the university levels. And they go for the knowledge-based economy, which lead to the prosperity and bring a social change in the country. If you want to bring the social peace in this country, so this is must be through the knowledge, this must be through the universities. So I think this seminar in that perspective is very, very important for us. Coming to the second last point is the innovations, technology innovations. Again, at least I can't quote any medical device or equipment which is so popular and it is innovated by all of us, except the instrument which have from my parent hometown, Sialkot. Rest of the deck, we lack much behind any patency. I've been working so hard with the engineering university, but till time it is becoming very difficult. I hope this gathering of so many, a galaxy of the people will certainly provide the firm recommendation and firm ground where we can move for the innovation technology. Once again, I'm thankful for arranging this seminar and this dialogue. And inshallah, we are here to support you, and your recommendation will, I hope, will be forward wherever it is required. Thank you for invitation and thank you for your time.
Thank you. So we start with the first session, which is about translating ideas to startup validation, your innovation. And it is for the world of healthcare. Not every idea becomes a startup. Delve into what makes an idea startup worthy, exploring key validation methods, metrics, and pitfalls. Learn the crucial steps to ensure your innovation can become a successful startup. The moderator for this session is my good friend, Dr. Fareed K. Suri, who is the director of stroke program, and he's the interventional neurologist in St. Cloud Hospital, Minnesota. And he's also the co-founder and founders of many startups like Revive Labs, Revive Medical Technology, TAJDEED, and Revive Pharma. So with that, I will I would request that all of you are equally important, but we have some panelists. We would like them to be close to the moderator up here, Dr. Sadia Hassan. And so if you can introduce yourself a little bit, and then Dr. Fareed Suri, you will start with them. Go ahead, Dr.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Sadia Hassan. I'm working as a principal scientist with Dr. Fareed Suri in Revive Pharma US. So I'm invited here specifically to tell you guys a new model for the new companies. Like you can translate your idea into a different industrial project, and you can bring your products and your ideas into market by using not a conventional method, but a different kind of method.
Thank you. Is Dr. Anwar Khan here? Ji, Anwar Khan sir, a brief introduction of your.
Yeah, I'm based in Silicon Valley. I've been actually there about more than 35 years. And all of my professional life has been engaged with startups. And I'm really looking forward to talk about what the essence of startups are and how it can play for Pakistan, for its economic growth as well.
Thank you. Dr. Shahid Wasim is here.
Thank you very much. Currently, I'm working as Director Auric at NUMS, and I'm here to share the Auric's perspective in terms of entrepreneurship, to share the ideas, what we have been doing in the light or in the guidance with HEC. Thank you very much.
Dr. Noshaba Wes. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I'm Noshaba Wes. I'm Director for Research and Development, Research for Innovation, Commercialization, working with HEC Islamabad.
Thank you. Dr. The Aswar Hussain.
Am I audible? Yes. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Syed Asfar Hussain, and I currently had National Incubation Center, Hyderabad. Before that, I was a founding member and head of program at National Incubation Center, Karachi. And then I established the HEJ Incubation Center as well. Currently working with 100 startups in Hyderabad, and before that, around 400 startups in Karachi. So roughly have seen the journey of startups grow in Pakistan in the last 5 to 8 years. Thank you.
Right. So we seem to have a very great panel for the first session. And over to Dr. Fareed to moderate it. And you know, we want to learn from the panelists, but also we would like more interaction from the participant. All of you, like I said, are equally important. And that's why we had this setup. Instead of first we thought of Latif Auditorium, which is a big hall, that this would be a better setup for this kind of more interactive dialogue. So thank you for accommodating that we had to change the venue for in the last minute. Go ahead. Yeah, let's go on. Red Jabate.
Oh yeah, okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So I will try to make this session very useful, interesting for everyone. All of you are with the panelists we have. I'm very impressed with the panelists we were able to gather for this forum. So inshallah, I will start with the very first, very important and basic question is that why do we really need to think about an innovation in healthcare? And that is the question. Basically, I will start with Dr. Azhar Hussain, Mr. Azhar Hussain, because you are mainly involved with getting the startups and working on that, and you thought about that. So what is as a physicians or other kind of like researchers or anything, it's very difficult for us to think about a startup, and why do we really need to think about that?
Thank you, Dr. Suri. I think so. The overall startup ecosystem has a lot to offer to the overall problem-solving mechanism as this country needs, but especially in the healthcare and education sector. Mostly we have out-of-school children that are around roughly, I think so, 28 million. And same is the case with our healthcare, where we don't have quality healthcare, neither we don't have the access to quality healthcare. So that's the problem. But before that, I think so most of the innovation that we have seen is unfortunately not in the healthcare and education sector. And when I'm saying education, because I see a kind of similarity between these two sectors where you have startups that work usually on grant models. You have businesses that work on grant models, but there is no innovation that is required. So by the current dynamics or by the market that they are targeting. So it's really needed in terms of finding solutions that are relevant for Pakistan, especially. And yes, we need those online consulting apps, but we really need something that can be of real help when it comes to, let's say there is one startup in Karachi which is working on prosthetic robotic arms, but we don't see many of those innovations in terms of, let's say, if someone is thinking of uh, doing stem cell research in terms of changing the dynamics of healthcare. We have research centers that produce good papers and kind of outlook to a more practical research, but nothing is kind of solving that problem. So we really need those input from the medical fraternity, because usually we see startups that are health related are usually by tech professionals that use tech as an enablement program, as an enablement kind of platform, and which is very much needed because tech helps anything to scale. But we really need to know the problems of the industry, and that can only be through healthcare professionals. So or research from the healthcare industry, and that then can translate into a meaningful startup or a meaningful solution. So we don't see much of a for instance, there was a health summit in Karachi where we had Dr. Khan Mohammad Siddiqui from US, and he's using AI in radiology because he's a medical doctor, and then he's tech savvy and he's using this, and then he has got great success in US. We really want to see this kind of, so unfortunately we don't see many of the startups that are led by doctors or that are kind of solving bigger issues than online consulting. That's also needed, but really big kind of and yes, we have some good examples as well. I want to kind of add them as well. We have another startup with the same name of Bionics. One Bionics is doing the prosthetic arms. The other one in Lahore, they are kind of manufacturing dialysis machines in Pakistan, which is very much needed. So in all, we ideally I don't want to start it off at a pessimistic note, but we really want some innovation in the healthcare sector that comes from the expertise of the medical professionals. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Azhar. And I think I would like to have Dr. Anwar. You are involved with funding. You find a passion to fund the startup and really promote them. That's kind of like you have this desire that the startups get successful, reach a level of success. And obviously you felt a need that the startup need to be promoted. And and so basically want to bring innovation to commercialization. So why do you think how it is going to help Pakistan, or how it is going to help our community over here?
Absolutely. So first is as I mentioned, I come from the Silicon Valley. That's all my more than 35 years I've spent in the startups. The way I look at startups is a little different. I think what you have observed in the Silicon Valley environment, which has been the reason I continue to mention Silicon Valley. Globally, Silicon Valley has been the start of the startups culture, and has turned that culture into multi-trillion-dollar companies, whether it's Apple, whether it's a Facebook, whether it's a Google. All these companies, they flourish in that Silicon Valley environment, and each one of them is valued as more than $1 trillion right now. So what is the uniqueness about the startup, and that has made so much successful? Now that Silicon Valley has been replicated into China, into India, into Israel, into many other countries as well. The main essence that I have observed, because from day one, right out of my school, when I did my master's degree in my electrical engineering from University of Hawaii, I joined a startup. I was employee number 4, basically founding team member, stayed there 15 years, turned that startup into multi-billion-dollar startup. It was a company called Verifone. That Verifone is the company, the most of the time when you swipe your card or you tap your card, that's the company is used. It's a multi-billion-dollar company or so. It was a unicorn, and it was sold to HP, Hewlett-Packard, and then it was privatized into private equity firm also. But those 15 years, I vividly remember, and then obviously my own startup after that as well. Startup by nature, it drives you, it motivates you. And you have seen that thing. Doesn't matter whether we innovate, in Pakistan, but they are motivated. They're energy, they're productive, they are trying their best. Based on whatever the limitation they have, we'll come to that thing here or so. But that's one aspect of startup. It drives focus and motivation, number one. Number two, startup by default that I have seen, what I'm used to of it drives innovation. Because in that context, what they're trying to do is to create some disruptive technology that's going to be different. It has to be unique. Startup is different from a small business and medium-sized business. Small and medium-sized business grows. As their revenue grows, their HR grows as well. The number of people would grow. Their number of operational costs would grow. Startup grows exponentially. Their revenue would grow 50 times, 100 times, where the number of people would grow maybe 1 time, 2 times or so. And why does that happen? That's because they bring a new, innovative, creative products that doesn't exist before. And now everybody wants it, whatever their target customer is. So that's number two, startups by default, by nature, it drives innovation. Number three, it drives, as I mentioned, disruption model. So disruptive in terms of the way the business is done today is going to be done differently. Uber, यहाँ पे अभी हुआ है, जैसा Careem है और InDrive है, versus a taxi cab. Doesn't it produce a better lifestyle for you? And now you're able to get that ride easily at your home and picked up, and then you get off that. In the US, you don't even have to pay, and it all gets charged to your credit card or something like that. But it created the disruptive model, and then it engaged so many people and created the business for them also. So we do have startups like that in Pakistan as well. And few of them here in this room as well. Easy Shafa. Easy Shafa, if you really look at it, by the way, so when I looked at the startup scene in Pakistan, where I saw two issues in startups, I'll come to that, Easy Shafa and a couple of the other ones, is that बहुत सारे स्टार्टअप हैं, उनको गाइडेंस नहीं मिल रही, बिकॉज़ गाइडेंस होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि गाइडेंस वहां पे सिलिकॉन वैली में स्टार्टअप क्यों सक्सेसफुल हो रहे हैं, उनको गाइडेंस मिल रही है. यहाँ पे गाइडेंस मेंटरशिप नहीं मिल रही, जो वो ही माइंडसेट की होनी चाहिए वो नहीं मिल रही, उसको हमने मासिफाई करना है कैसे. ठीक है. नंबर वन, गाइडेंस मुराद ये है कि जो प्रोसेसेस सक्सेसफुल हो चुके हैं उनको रिपीट किया जाए, क्योंकि दे आर प्रूवन प्रोसेसेस. ठीक है, एक तो बात यह है. दूसरा बात यह है कि यहाँ पे स्टार्टअप शुरू होते हैं, बेचारे 2 साल 3 साल बाद मेहनत करते हैं, उनको फंडिंग नहीं मिलती, और फंडिंग की वजह से दे डाई आउट, many of them. So that's why I recognize that angel funding for early stage startups and guidance for the early stage startup is the most important thing that we must need to do for Pakistan. That's number one. Number two, on the completely on the other side, there's no IPO market for startup here in Pakistan. तो जो स्टार्टअप में है वो कौन इन्वेस्ट करेगा जब उनको पता ही नहीं कि एग्जिट कहां से होगा. सिर्फ ये एग्जिट होगा कि कभी कोई कंपनी खरीदेगी तो एग्जिट होगा, but that's not the only solution. So that's why the second area which I'm focusing on, working on, is how to develop the IPO market for startups in Pakistan. So I've been talking to AKD, I've been talking to Arif Habib Saab or unke organization, and FPCCI and JS. These are the 4 main engines of PCX and behind it also. So those are one, so that not overnight, but another 18 months, 2 years, we will have a IPO market. China had to develop a IPO market for startups. They have a completely separate exchange, by the way. We don't have to do. We just can turn the gem board into the, which is the way it's looking, and we will be able to. So these are the 2 areas of focus. Coming back to Pakistan, one fundamental difference is I've been, away for 40 years. I've been coming here in the US, from the US into Pakistan. I used to hear a lot more, यार हम क्या कर सकते हैं? अगर आप आजकल के बच्चों से बात करें जो कि इंटरनेट की पैदावार हैं, जो up to 25-30 years old जो हैं, they have a can-do attitude. वो कहते हैं कि अगर कोई और कर सकता है, हम क्यों नहीं कर सकते? That's the reason you're seeing hundreds of startups, but they need a guidance, better guidance to really drive in that. But now out of that thing, there are some successes as well. So Park Angels, which are a platform I started to help the early stage startups, to get them funded, to get them good advisors, to get them connected to the local businesses so they can work together with the businesses. Just I'm going to finish that thing with this note. So we selected 11 startups. Out of those things, 4 are healthcare oriented startups. One is Easy Shafa. Easy Shafa, the reason we like that thing is now rather than me going out and finding a clinic and doctor waiting for that thing, why not to using the technology? I can go any pharmacy, which are a lot of pharmacies around me, to buy a medicine, but why not to have a kiosk whereby I interact with and get connected to a doctor? I get all the vital signs, I get connected to a call. So they have created this kiosk enablement. They already got 300 locations and hopefully would have tens of thousands of locations nationwide. But the other thing they have created, which it talks about innovation, is this software that I took a 15-second video of my face. It told my blood pressure. It told my sugar level. I'm, by the way, diabetic. I have a patch which tells me what's the sugar level I have. It told all the vital signs, which were very close to by just a software on my mobile. So think of it for a moment. Now at home, my kid got some issue or my wife had got some issue or husband has an issue, and I can use that software to enable that thing. And that connected to the doctor again remotely. But now remotely doctor is enabled with the AI diagnosis as well. One of the issue with the doctors typically is अब ये कहते नहीं यार ये बहुत अच्छा डॉक्टर है वर्ष ये नहीं है एक अच्छा डायग्नोस करता है दूसरा अच्छा नहीं करता तो ना अगर AI में डायग्नोसिस ले आए AI को ले आए डायग्नोसिस में ऑल ऑफ सडन आपकी डायग्नोसिस क्यों बहुत हर एक को बन जाएगी तो इस तरह के स्टार्टअप एक और इस तरह सुपर वुमेन स्टार्टअप है और कैंगरू केयर का स्टार्टअप जस्ट फिनिश ऑन दैट वन और जो कि बच्चों का इंक्यूबेटर बना रहा है उसमें डायबिटीज सॉरी जॉन्डिस हो जाता है बच्चे को छोटे पहले 7 दिनों में सुई लगाए बगैर वो जॉन्डिस का इलाज करता है वो इंक्यूबेटर क्योंकि उसमें वो जो कंट्रोल करता है लाइट को और उसको बच्चे को जो है वो विदाउट सुई लगाए वो सब कुछ हो तो ऐसी स्टार्टअप्स हैं अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह लेकिन बहुत थोड़ी हैं हमें चाहिए कि हर घर में स्टार्टअप की बात हो हमें चाहिए कि इनको गाइडेंस मिले और हमें चाहिए बहुत सारे सक्सेसफुल अगर गूगल वहाँ पे सिलिकॉन वैली से हो सकता है तो मारो एक गूगल इस तरह का जो और फेसबुक वो यहाँ से भी हो सकता है इंशाल्लाह होगा भी Sorry, I took a little longer, but
No,
I just
this
want to
was
put it in perspective.
very interesting. I think you kind of like stirred my passion to go and do another startup.
Exactly. And that's the last thing is the doctors, they need to become startups as
They
well.
need to
So,
do a
yes,
startup.
absolutely.
And I think that is the main thing is that we kind of like, we sometimes feel that as physicians, whenever we see a patient, sometimes we see that, oh, I wish there is a device like that. And from that point to kind of like reach the point of like, we have empowered to build a startup, to bring it to the market, and that there's a lot of journey through that. And that journey, we find it somewhat easier and somewhat more doable in other countries than in Pakistan. And that's where you both of you kind of like come in to
I
support
think
that part.
this
Yeah.
guy has been working so hard and inshallah will produce the results in the coming year.
Yeah.
Next 3-5 years going to be different in this. Please continue.
So I will I think now go a little bit in a reverse order back to the to Dr. Nushaba to see how we are stirring that kind of like motivation and interest and passion in our education system. So
So,
please.
Thank you for giving me the floor. I'm just wondering how I can balance my comments after taking the stage after Dr. Irfan Saab. Whatever he said, it seems like a jingle to my ears. Dr. Habib Saab knows that we are striving hard to establish the ecosystem which help and support the startups, not only the startups, the research commercialization angle along with the IP. so that each and everything is secure. The good news is that for this purpose, we have established, and now it's basically launched, and it's in repository is being developed. It's a kind of a portal which engulfs the whole ecosystem, which help and support the entrepreneurship, startups, and research commercialization. The portal is Research for Innovation portal. It's rfi.hec.gov.pk. So you can access it. It has the whole story about the audit. So this means that all 88 till now, it's the kind of the tech transfer offices. We call it Office of Research, Innovation and Commercialization in Pakistan. So these 88, the story is that the whole progress and achievement of all these 88 are now gauged on this portal. On your one click, you can access the kind of project they are doing, the kind of technology they have. So it's all authentic and database. It's available there. If you want to look at the 33 or 35 business incubation center, it's also there. You can see the kind of startups they have, the kind of revenue they are generating, the pool of mentors available. We have recently giving the opportunity it's open for all, that you come and register as a mentor with us. So we have a pool of mentor of the industry, it's the VCs and angels. And then we have some center of excellence in National Center of Emerging Technologies. So these are around 55. So in emerging technology, like in AI, big data, robotics, and cybersecurity, we have this kind of centers are around 8, and we are establishing more in the field. But the national center, like Center of Excellence in physical chemistry and biology, so these are around 16 centers. So with all this, we have also made available a space for university, industry, and the other allied stakeholder interaction, and we call it the pentahelix. Pentahelix because the government, being the government head, you can register there. Being an industrial, you can register there. Being a startup, you can register there. Me as a manager can register there, so that we have a platform where we can easily interact. And the good thing about it's not very high tech, but the good thing about it is that when you register yourself there, you have the access to review and view the available research and make connection. You can send the chat request, you can schedule your meetings from that platform directly. So this the kind of which Sir said, that enabling environment. So we are working hard to provide the enabling environment, so that the story which we started back in 2008, when we talk about MIT or the US, so the journey they are far earlier than us. So we are very new, and I will say that our startup ecosystem is still in embryonic stage. It's not that much flourish, but the good thing is that people are coming in, and the spirit, sir, is talking, that Dr. Irfan has mentioned it, that the youth has, or the entrepreneur has that courage and that strive within themselves. So they are coming forward. Then, as he mentioned, that lack of funding. So the basic in the, I would say the nib in the bud is that we don't have ample funding available to lead a research for the next year, because we end our funding where the research is concluded. But there's a long way, the 7 more years to reach or make them able to reach to the market. So for this, we don't have, but HEC back in 2015, and I was lucky enough because I conceived the idea and developed and was successful in getting the PSDP funding. It was a 3 billion PKR grant funds available for us. Out of this, we awarded around 200 projects, and these were the university industry collaborative projects in which the university, the industry also contributed. And in the first time of our history, around 500 million were like chipped in by the industry. And regarding the healthcare, one of the key project which concluded is the artificial skin graft. The Comset Lahore, Dr. Yar Muhammad actually designed it, and it's by the way, it's commercialized, it's available in the market, and the company is the Cotton Craft Company of Lahore is basically producing this thing at the mass scale. They are working with the Bun Center directly. So these kind of thing which we are doing, and the next in the pipeline, and I'm lucky to meet Dr. Irfan because I will need your help there as well. We are planning to arrange an Investor Connect event around Feb or March. We are planning. Actually, when I say there's no funding available for the startups, we don't have the pre-seed, seed funding, Serial A, Serial B. No, we don't have any kind of funding available in the Pakistani market. Our industrialists or our investors are reluctant to invest in the startups. So that's why we are lagging behind. So HEC from our platform, for the first time, we have came up with a seed funding program. So under that seed funding, currently we, in the phase 1, we provided 15 companies were given the seed funding of around $35,000 USD each. And then in this round, we have further added the companies around 28. So altogether, 48 companies are funded from HEC for this, and the startups are now incubated for the 6-month time period so that they're able to reach to the market. And for these startups, we are arranging this Investor Connect. So this is the kind of thing which HEC with the help of universities they're doing. And by the way, for the healthcare, the very important thing is which we need to consider is that if we look at the past, we only had the medical colleges. We never had the university. So university is the thing which encourages and provide the platform for the research. So that's why the research was missing from the healthcare side. So this is from my side.
Thank you, Dr. Shaba. And I think this is very, I think we realize that from your perspective from HEC, there is a lot being done. But beyond what you have done, there are other elements there need to step in and kind of also motivate and encourage. For example, as you mentioned about the universities need to step in. And I think with that, I bring the question to Dr. Shahid from NUMS. And how is the ORIC office, for example, in NUMS, trying to bring the research and into innovation and into the startups? So
thank you very much. I think the story is already told. However, I would contribute a little. I will second the suggestions or the notions already mentioned by our colleague. Before going to the implementation, the guidelines of HEC, I think the idea which is more creative and innovative, that has more chances of success. For example, as the sir told that, because I think idea or creation is singular, it's once, and same is the moment of the creation. So for example, as you have mentioned about Mark Zuckerberg or Facebook or, for example, Microsoft, the next Mark Zuckerberg will not go for the Facebook because that is already translated and it is already done. And similarly, if the Bill Gates comes, the next Bill Gates will not go for the Microsoft. It's once. So those ideas which has monopolistic capacity, they have more chances of success in this society. And secondly, I think the success of the idea is basically linked with the market and where we are living. For example, if we are thinking a very innovative idea, but its toolkit is not available in our relevant market. For example, if we have to start a startup in Pakistan, and we are thinking of the idea whose toolkit is not available here. For example, I must say HEC is doing an excellent job to provide funding in terms of research funding, capacity building, business incubation center, seed funds, and many other things HEC is doing. Despite these funding, there is still, as Madam said, that there is a gap. Gap is, for example, we are lacking initially on the end of researchers, we are lacking financial literacy. For example, our assistant professor, when he comes to the university and he got some funding, he first time knows that there is some sales tax on the services, sales tax on the commodities. So what is the sales tax? For example, all these trainings must be included in the syllabus on a very young age. For example, you may say the graduate students must be trained on the financial literacy as well in the classrooms, so they can think about making money as well. Secondly, institutional support, of course, is there, which can contribute to the success of the idea. We must train them, or we must lobby to the government level. All these taxation rules, all these PEPRA rules, they are not inclined towards the support of the success of idea. Especially I'm talking about Pakistan, in terms of Pakistan. So that's why research is being slowed down because of these processes. And researchers feel somehow demotivated during the process of research as well, because of these bureaucratic hurdles and all these things. And also, I think HEC has a better idea. Many projects are delayed because of all these reasons. And the research output is not produced at the end because of these bureaucratic hurdles. Secondly, as far as the market is concerned, of course, there is a paradigm shift since, I think, last decade or half of the last decade, that industry is also thinking to link up with the academia, which is very fancy term. We are promoting our relationship with the industry as well, industry academia linkage and all these things. But what I feel as the ORIC person, that still there is a deficit in the trust. Trust deficit is still there. It's very difficult to convince the industrialists to participate in the research, even the productive research. We are trying our best to make them spell out their problems so that we can make an experimental design and then propose the budget to HEC or other funding agencies. But it's very difficult to convince them that they can trust on us, on the academia, on the researchers, so that they, for example, I think after the effort of last 5 years, we are able to, or we are successful just for 2 companies that they help us to show their issues. And we are now in an agreement that we are making some project and then apply for the funding. And even that industry is also willing to fund that project. So first of all, I think HEC is also contributing because they are also interacting with the chambers. We are also interacting with the chambers of industry and commerce directly to align all these industries, and we are also presenting our mottos, HEC guidelines, and different sources of fundings, what we can produce our capacities at the universities. But still, we need to do a lot to win the trust of these industries in Pakistan, so that they can contribute potentially objectively in the funding, and they help us, or we help them to mutually grow together. Otherwise, there is no other option. For example, if they are hiring and if they are purchasing all these things. So keeping all these in mind, we are also in focus to reduce the import bill. At our university, we are trying to identify which healthcare, what healthcare budget is basically the import budget. And we are trying to make those projects which can reduce those budget through the projects. So we are working on those type, as we are, of course, a very young university right now. And anyway, we are trying our to identify those import burden related to the healthcare, and we are designing our projects on that. So as Madam has told that, of course, especially the healthcare sector is basically lacking these type of startups just because they are less in number in terms of universities, researchers. And I don't know how to increase that number of the universities, but anyway, we can incorporate or we can rethink about what we are doing here. We can rethink and or reorient our thinking towards the production of something tangible through these projects, whatever is available on our resources. Thank you.
I want to add a comment on collaboration, which is. I want to add a comment on collaboration, which is really very essential to between the academia and the industries.
Sir.
Equally, I will recommend collaboration between the universities and universities as well.
Yes.
Because some universities are business universities, some universities are medical universities, some are technology universities. If they collaborate, all three matters if we want to make progress in healthcare. So I think that's also we should encourage collaboration among this complementary set of universities as well.
Yeah,
Sure,
if I may, we do have separate grants for this. Like one of the grant is Grant Challenge Fund, GCF. So this the consortia model of the grant where more than 5-6 universities can join hand with the international universities,
Very nice.
and they can work on a single research agenda, interdisciplinary.
Thank you. Thank you. That was, I think, very useful. And I think that brings out one of the things we have realized, especially in the faculties in Pakistan, is that, as you mentioned, it's even hard to push them to do the academic research and then to do a commercial research. It's obviously much harder to kind of like for them to even think about it. And when we start thinking about like a commercial or commercialization of our idea or doing a startup, we normally start thinking about like, okay, we need to have a big setup and some kind of like, but sometimes you can find a solution in a very partner with someone and find a solution like that. And Sadia, I would like you to tell us that how did Revive Pharma, which is coming up with some kind of like trying to innovate drug formulations in Pakistan for the first time. Normally the in Pakistan, drug industry is just replicating what is existing and showing that we are similar to them and then just market it.
Yeah.
But what your company is trying to do is bring a new formulations in the world, not only Pakistan, but for the world.
Yeah.
And obviously, when you think about that kind of research, you are thinking about, oh, I need to have a multi-million-dollar setup, and it's an unthinkable. But how did Revive Pharma came up with a solution for that? So please go ahead.
Okay, so let me give you a bit of background. So if we look at the pharmaceutical industry of Pakistan, they just work on the generic products. For example, there is this one pharmaceutical products that's available in US, and what they will do once the patent is expired, they will make that product in Pakistan and then sell in the market. So we don't make new products, new formulations, or we don't innovate things in Pakistan. So there were neurosurgeons and neurologists in US who are like Pakistanis, but they are working in US. So they had this idea, like obviously they were treating their patients and they were looking at some problems, and they thought industry is not working on those products. Obviously they saw the need and they had the ideas, but they didn't know how to translate that idea into a commercial product. So what they did was they basically went to an innovator and a pharmacist and they shared their idea. So that innovator already had an experience to bring those ideas into market, and he had multiple successful ventures. So they sat together and they made a team. Then they went to investors. They developed a business model. So typical business model is you hire a team, you take a building, you build an infrastructure, you buy all the equipment, and then you start to develop your product. And it's an expensive venture, obviously. So they didn't do that. They did an innovative thing. What they did was basically, because they were Pakistani, so they wanted to give back something to Pakistan as well. So what they did, they talked to the top pharmaceutical companies of Pakistan, for example, the Getz Pharma, the CCL, and they proposed, we will be the brains behind all this venture. We will bring the money. we will hire the top students from the top universities of Pakistan, the talent from Pakistan, and we will bring that talent into the infrastructure of pharmaceutical companies that was existing in Pakistan. For example, the CCL, the Gates Pharma, companies like that. So we will use the brains from US, the infrastructure from the Pakistani industry, and the team from the top universities of Pakistan. And we will make a team and we will bring those products into Pakistan. So this is how Revive Pharma started to work. It's been more than a year and we are trying to develop some new products here and hopefully we will be successful, inshallah.
That's an excellent idea. That absolutely the excellent idea. Just one more step that is needed after that thing is like in the US is FDA approval,
Yeah.
which is the biggest hurdle that I've ever seen. Yeah, I mean, a huge amount of money. Sometimes you need about 300, $400 million of spending of this phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and of testing by the time you have a drug. So, and that's the main reason why the drugs are so expensive.
Yeah. So what
And
they have.
so, any thoughts on that
Yeah,
side of
yeah.
things?
So they have developed their whole business model and business plan. For example, we will develop product over here. We will get the DRAP approvals. We will do all the clinical trials in Pakistan.
In Pakistan,
Yes.
that's what I was going to ask. If we want to have a break
Yeah.
in this pharma
Yeah.
business,
Yeah.
we must need to turn. This is the 5th largest country by population.
Yeah.
With the proper discipline to create a FDA type of approval, very disciplined, that's well respected outside of Pakistan as well.
Yeah.
That will drive that because our cost factor could be 10 times or 100 times less
Yeah.
than FDA's.
Yeah. So once we will be done the clinical trials in Pakistan, we will move those clinical trials to US and to other countries. And then we will go to FDA. And for that purpose, we will have investors from US.
Excellent.
Of course, we don't have that much money from Pakistan. We will get that money from US. Yeah. So
And-
this is how we are doing.
Makes sense. Yes, absolutely.
And I think that's very good that you brought up that part in there because it is in stages. When a startup is happening, first you are kind of like building up the idea, coming up with the idea. And I think it is useful for us to kind of like think about like, how can we come up with the idea for the startup at the first place?
This is
And-
an excellent initiative, by the way. This will have a profound effect, not only for Pakistani consumer, but global consumers, because the major reason most of the cost is so high is because of FDA. And there's a lot of
Exactly.
politics. I mean, if you look at it, and when the chairman of FDA retire, it becomes a board member of Pfizer. You can tell where the problem is.
Where the
Yeah.
So
problem-
that's absolutely right. This is a game changer.
And so there are stages in there, and when you reach a certain stage, and you can go back to the investors, and I think this is for the next session that will be coming up, is how we are moving into that. But this discussion will lead into that session, and but the first and the most important thing is that when you have an idea, how do you come up with the idea that this idea is viable or not viable, or it makes sense? And I would like to ask you to see if you are involved in people. I'm sure that people come to you with the idea, and how do you kind of like judge if this idea is viable or not?
So there's a very famous framework, IDEO framework, where you use the DVF, which is desirability, viability, and feasibility of an idea. And all three come in tandem. They can't be, you can't just have so you need to have that problem solving approach. कि एक आपने desire है कोई चीज बननी चाहिए, वो क्या बन सकती है, और आप क्या बनाएंगे उसको eventually. So that's the dilemma with some of the inventions that happen यहाँ पे पाकिस्तान में. I was listening to the conversation and I said that I started off with a pessimistic note, but the only reason I shared this because we really want something what Revive Lab is doing, something of that sort in a larger, bigger way that can make impact, or Easy Shifa is doing, thinking beyond the what is conventionally happening in. So about the idea, we really want when some of the businesses or startups want to come for incubation or are discussing their idea or at a very initial germination stage, we don't want to just short their idea out, but at the same time, we really want them to have that feasibility in the study in their mind. You can say that the part of that design thinking process, where you really know that this problem is there or not. This happened with the airlift scenario, which was the most celebrated starter. Unfortunately, they started off their business in the areas like Sialkot, and my hometown too, Hyderabad as well. But they were unable to capture Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, but they started off with Hyderabad, Sialkot, and other markets, and even South Africa, before even completing the entire landscape of these three large cities of Pakistan, just as an example. Or where they used to pay a lot to their workforce and have heavy operational expenses. So what we can learn from the failure of airlift is there was a demand, certainly, but probably it was not that viable in terms of hiring tech talent that is way too expensive, or probably not expanding to the right markets, or it was probably not required in those cities at that time. So we can learn from other startups as well. But my experience so far is that before moving into and starting off your own venture, we really need to see Pakistan में तो ये option भी देखनी चाहिए, खास तौर पे someone who's doing engineering or scientific product. Can we get this cheaper from China? This is as basic. We see all forms of student projects. I'm on board on 5 or 6 universities. We see a lot of projects that are making drones in Pakistan. But when you ask a student, what's the costing? Is it cheaper, expensive? Will it work? Is it a precision agriculture based drone? Will it work for agriculture sector? Will it work for, let's say, delivering something, which is drone deliveries are also happening all over the world? They don't have an answer. So we should do the very basics, where we need to kind of teach our students as well as those budding entrepreneurs that it's very important to have that feasibility study where you find out that it's really desirable, feasible, and viable, so that you then move forward with your idea as a startup or as a commercial venture. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to add into this one, as rightly exemplified the airlift and Jovi, again, the second startup. You rightly said, despite heavily paid to the employees in the beginning, in the startup era, they also, for example, if they need one store for 5,000 families in the town, they opened 3 stores. So of course their delivery time was very quick, 15 minutes. The courier was at the door. So this was another. I think to make the idea more successful, that should be there should be idea market fit as well, as he told, and that should be supported with the tangible data. What is required, whether it is needed by the people or not, and they should get interviewed by people should be interviewed. The potential clients should be interviewed, and collection of the data is very important to validate that this idea is needed in the society, in the market. And thirdly, I think the key is start small. That is the key, I think.
Thank you.
So just a couple of basic things I want to 100% agree what has been said. Basic things that we must need to install, that what the idea is all about is a mindset. Oh, okay. I'm going to just say that thing that is a mindset. And if we can instill this mindset into our kids, that they observe and they have a mindset of looking at this problem can be solved, and this is the way it can be solved. Just basic things like that. We can have a much more innovative nation. China used to be copying in nation. It's no more. So there's a change that can happen in there.
So thank you, everyone. This was a very useful and very good session. I think overall, the main idea is that in this country, we have some very brilliant and very innovative minds. We just need to encourage them and empower them to bring their idea to the startup, not only for this country, but for the world. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Please hold your questions. Go ahead. Yeah. for the end, at least 2/3 of the sessions, if they are gone, we will be more relaxed. And then there will be time during the lunch. That's the time to interact and ask questions to the individual speakers or panelists. But before that, also we'll have time to delve into that. So now I would thank the panelists of this session. If you can seat wherever you'll find the seat, and I'll invite the moderator of the next session, Babar Rao. He is the again a very close friend and very eminent professor of dermatology in New York City and New Jersey, and he is also a graduate of Rawalpindi Medical University, 3rd batch. So that's another important aspect of his life. But more importantly, he has his own startups and he has invested in many startups. So with him, the panelist, I would like to invite Saira Siddiq, if she's here.
Sarah is on her way.
Okay, so when she comes, she can join. Asim Rauf, CEO, Drug. Asim, if he's. Asim is also coming. Okay. Taimur Malik, senior partner, Kilam Law partner.
Yeah, he had to leave early and
Okay.
he has given me notes. that
Okay,
will
so
be-
you'll represent it. Okay. Okay, yeah, you can come, you can. Okay, you have a seat. Akbar Lana is representing Director Quality and Marketing, Alsons Group, and Muhammad Irfan Malik, founder and CEO, X7 Solution. So right, so yeah, if you want to do that, that's fine also. Now we have a startup by one of our TAJDEED founder, Dr. Danish Patti, called Quiz MD. So there'll be a brief introduction of that startup, and then that is followed by an MOU by the Vice Chancellor, Dr. Umar, with the Rawalpindi Medical University. By becoming Rawalpindi Medical University is very higher up in the innovation AI. They have a special AI cell, and this is an AI project. This is an AI startup in education. So the Rawalpindi Medical University will be the first one who will be which will be trying this this startup and collaborating it with QuizMD AI.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Danish Patti, and it's my great pleasure to introduce QuizMD.ai as a co-founder in our collaboration for AI in medical education with Rawalpindi Medical University. I'm the education chair for neurology at University of Central Florida College of Medicine. And the goal of QuizMD.ai is to use AI as a co-pilot for medical education to help medical educators create high-quality assessments for engaged learning. Writing internally consistent assessments, multiple choice questions, clinical cases is very difficult. It requires selecting the right concept, building the right context, creating the right distractors, and then explaining why the right answer was the right and wrong answer is the wrong answer, and make sure that the students learn something from it. What we want to do is to create an AI co-pilot that helps medical educators co-create and edit high-quality assessments using their custom content like their lectures or notes or books or articles, and do it quickly and efficiently, saving them time. This is the product showcase. You can actually go online and check this out. It is available at quizmd.ai. It's a simple generators where a lot of work is being done behind the scene that you don't see. You select the right clinical setting that you want for your cases, and then you upload your document, whether it be a PowerPoint or a PDF or a Word document, anything that has your lectures or notes or information in it, or you can even copy paste some text information in a text box below. And you get all your history of previously generated questions there. You can go back and generate more questions or download them again. And then you can even explore the questions generated by other group members in your group. The question that is generated, there are a few questions generated in first score depending on the amount of content. It has a clinical context, has distractors, has explanation that is hidden by default. Explanation can be brief or long depending on the use case, and it gives it a Bloom classification and difficulty level. You can download the questions for editing. We can build an inline editor with RMU collaboration for you can edit it right there, delete the questions you don't want, edit the changes in the question, and then download or export in the appropriate format. And you can even share with your group. And you can even create custom labeling with our partnership or collaboration. We are even exploring multimodal questions where we're looking at documents uploaded with images in it. The questions are generated using that image, requiring that image to write the answer or provide the answer. We will generate the stem, create question, distractor, Bloom classification, and explanation of why the right answer was the right answer based on the images selected. Again, all of this is editable. And the idea is to co-create with the medical educators and not provide a finished product. So the educators will then be editing and selecting the right questions that they want to use, but save a lot of time in doing that because you can generate unlimited amount of questions from each document. We are starting with multiple choice questions that already forms the foundation of formative and summative assessments, knowledge assessment, practice exams, licensing exams, continuing professional development, and so on. Our next step is to go into short answer questions and then develop case-based learning or patient-oriented problem solving as our next goal in our partnership. Thank you so much for your attention, and I'm really excited about this partnership with Rawalpindi Medical University as the first university to implement artificial intelligence in medical education. Thank you so much.
Just to add to Danish's video, I don't know he's listening. I don't think this model exists anywhere on the globe. So this will be the first experiment in RMU. So congratulations. Thank you.
Right. At the same time, he's talking to his own university, which is a University of Central Florida, where he is the director of education. But it's not done. Probably this will be the first signing document with QuizMD. So I will.
And make sure, Omar, you get enough shares in the company.
Thank you very much. So while waiting for other panelists, we can start. Babar Rao, you can tell us about your session's description and what would you like to discuss, and we'll go from there.
So basically, again, this is mostly related to healthcare innovations. People who are doing things in health market, from AI to EMRs to EHRs to regulatory affairs like Uzair. So our panel at this point, some of them had emergencies. We have, there is my other cheat sheet. Sarah Siddiqui, who's stuck somewhere on Murray Road. She's not here yet, but probably will make it on time. I think we have Asim. Asim, you want to tell a little bit of, sorry? Akbar, yes, Akbar. Can you want to tell a little bit about your little story in few minutes? Yeah.
Ji, I'm Akbar Alana. I'm representing Olson's Group, which is a fairly large group of engineering concerns operating in Pakistan since 1953. And since 2020, we've been involved in developing medical devices at our facilities. And we've developed a range of medical devices, mainly for the ICU. So from CPAP devices to ventilators to syringe pumps, we've developed at various stages of approval. One device has been approved by DRAP. We've been exporting it as well. Another product, the ICU ventilator, is at final stages of approval at DRAP. Clinical trials have been done. And we're hoping to get DRAP approvals, hopefully by the end of this year or beginning of next year. And then we have another range of medical devices that, inshallah, during the course of this discussion, I can talk more about. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So right next to me is Irfan Malik. I don't know how the hell I got in touch with you, but somehow we did from some AI story. But what he's doing again, seriously, it used to be like Silicon Valley is owned by Americans, I'm one of them, or, you know, that industry. But with AI, that story is over. Anybody sitting in Burma, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Lahore, Sheikhupura can shock the world. Irfan is one of them. Irfan, you want to tell us a little bit of your story?
Thank you very much, everyone. I started as a computer operator from a medical college. And now I own a company, Zeven Solutions. We are providing healthcare solution primarily using artificial intelligence. I'm a data scientist by profession. We have got companies in in different countries. I would say that we are recreating few solutions, like, you know, talking about EMRs, HIMS, telemedicine, talking about patient-doctor interaction. We are recreating it because artificial intelligence is redefining every single thing. And we are taking it, you know, from the scratch and implementing it everywhere. What is, we are not kind of, you know, I wouldn't say that we are innovating something, but what I usually say that artificial intelligence is making successful startup incompatible. What is coming in the future, we are, you know, getting incompatible with all the data, all the success, all the investment that we have spent so far in our systems. So this is a right time to, you know, redefine your system so that whatever is coming in the next 6 months, I would say next 6 months, not year, not 2 year, not 3 year, whatever we are coming in the next 6 months, we have to be ready. This is exactly what we have identified, and we are providing solutions in various departments. That's a brief introduction, and I think we have the entire story covered there in the second.
It's coming, and if you go to YouTube, let's say if you want to write your own or AI or little chat box, and how do you do that? You pay other thousands of dollars, or you learn yourself. But how do you learn yourself? You don't know computers. You listen to his YouTube, you know how to write your own chat box. You make your own AI little tool to use for you.
This is mandatory for everyone sitting here because you've got lots of knowledge. Major problem in the healthcare sector is we are wasting a lot of data. And now let's not talk about patient data. Let's talk about your wisdom, your knowledge that you have got. Whatever you're explaining to your students, patient, friends, family, it is going nowhere actually. Now, this is a time when we have to preserve every single thing, and the LLMs are out there. There should be a GPT for all of you. And there should be a tiny little device that you carry with you, whatever you are saying, whenever you are saying something, you know, Apple is listening, Facebook is listening, Google is listening, whatever we are doing, somebody is listening. So if they're listening, they're getting the data. Why can't we use that data to our advantage?
Yeah.
This
So
is what we have to do.
let me go to my next panelist, Uzair, friend of mine from Canada. So Uzair is originally a doctor, or basically a doctor, but you know, he has done a lot of things in his life. But whenever we have a question, I'm trying to start a company, I want to go to DRAP, or I want to do pharmacy, this. We usually call Uzair. Uzair, should I do it, or how do I do it? Do you know somebody? So he's a man of connection, lot of knowledge. Uzair, go ahead, tell us a few things about you.
Assalamu alaikum. Yeah. Very detailed introduction, but basically I am just in search of a lot of things. So my career is quite varied. It includes total, you know, value chain of healthcare, be it the diagnostics, be it the actual medical care, or the drug development, or the regulatory part of it. So my background is quite diversified in this way. And I take the responsibility because I found out Irfan, and I introduced him to the Apna Merit and many more new startups. So I was the one who brought them in. So I feel really privileged to have these connection, and I'll be very happy to extend all my support to all of you. That's all. Thank you.
All right. So I think we can start with some questions, but maybe if Fareed doesn't kill me, we can change the format. Did any of you have a burning question for these gentlemen or four of us? Yes, go ahead, Tamizuddin. Yes.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Professor Asad Nizami. I'm a professor of psychiatry here at RMU. I'm very glad that Dr. Baba Rao and Dr. Shah Rafiq organized this session. Why I say this? Because it's very intriguing to look into what people are talking about, but then we must identify where the problem lies. So if you scan around this whole room, you have a number of health professionals, and I'm thinking very esteemed CEOs of different very innovative organizations, very few policymakers. Our problem comes with a very, very big misconnectivity. And why I say is this because I've been working with the WHO, even the regional office and the Geneva office for the last 25 years. When we talk about all these issues, I know this is a requirement of the time that we have to be innovative. But then majority of the times our health professionals are only thinking about providing health service, medical education, a little bit of research. The innovators on the other side have very fancy and very good ideas, but then there's a very big disconnectivity, this side translating the ideas to the other side. And there where the problem lies. For example, one of our colleagues just talked about that if Google is listening to everything, why can't we have a device that we can translate what we're thinking? So I'm just wondering that I know we have got a big MOU signed and we are going to sustain that, but we need to look into this aspect that all medical students, all health professionals, when they come into providing a health service, they're thinking only one thing. This is what we have to do in morning. This is what we do in the evening, provide a service. They are not innovative. They're not creative. They need to get that time to think about the creativity. And on the other side, we need to have this bridge linked up that how can this innovation be transferred to the health professionals so that they're actually using the word compelled to use this innovation into their basic structure.
Thank you. So I'm going to go back to Akbar. So in reference to like, as you were doing these devices, any problems, any like serious troubles, any advice, any hurdles you encountered?
I mean, we've had several hurdles mainly relating to the time frames. I think what we set out to do in 2020 was something that perhaps has not been done in Pakistan before. I mean, there are not many devices that have been built over here and gone through clinical trials. Somebody mentioned bionics earlier. I mean, other than them and us and perhaps a handful of other companies, there's nobody building actual physical devices. So it was difficult to obviously get the regulators and the bioethics committees and the hospitals and the PIs, everybody on one page. Everybody obviously has their own agendas and their own ways of working. So what should have taken maybe a year or a year and a half has taken us almost 4 years now. So these sort of little hitches could be, in the future, catered to in a better way. But again, it's a learning process for everybody, including DRAP, including us, including Pakistan Engineering Council, who've been very supportive. So I think the infrastructure of support is getting there, but it just needs to be, tweaked so it's a little easier and a little more fast-tracked for companies in Pakistan to go down this route. Somebody mentioned FDA. Now in America, those are mature markets. Those are mature companies. Pharmaceuticals have mature businesses. They can spend that much on R&D and wait 8-10 years for clinical trials to come into effect and for products to go into market. In Pakistan, we don't have that luxury as yet, particularly in the health tech and device sectors. So if the regulators could help fast track that initially till we have a suitable base from which, companies can grow and more stringent, regulations get put in time to time, I think that would be very helpful for startup companies or new companies getting into this field.
Okay, so if you were to propose a new device, from point zero to end, how long it may take
to
get it approved?
Again, there's there's a difference of opinion on what constitutes a new device. Now it could be something which is completely innovative, which has never been done before. For a device like that, I would say that that needs to go through very stringent trials, very stringent checks, very stringent procedures before it can be brought to market. But if somebody is making a device which there's already a precedent in the market, then there should be a fast track. I believe FDA even allows for class 1 and class 2 devices not to go through clinical trials. Whereas over here, they expect every device to go through clinical trials, even those that there is a. So those sort of things, if we can work with the regulators to have some ease for companies like us who are building devices that already have a precedent.
Have you made any money so far?
We've made quite a few. We've made an ICU ventilator.
Because what happened is Danish was here and my buddies here. We have this Fareed and all of us, we have this call of Shark Tank, where we're talking, looking into ideas and this and this. I only ask one question. When we will make money from this product? Because this is all business other than the education science part. So you are successful.
Now it's just investment. It's mainly investment.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go to Irfan a little bit. So Irfan, obviously, I think he was working as in the hospital as average job we all of were doing at some point, and then he came up with the ideas. And can you just briefly tell particularly what you are doing now, where your company is in the process of getting some Facebook like $1 trillion?
To explain what we are doing, I need to address a very important point here. There is a huge gap. Dr. Sorry, I couldn't catch your name. Professor Asad Nizami, sir, you have raised very, very important points. I would like to address that, then I'll connect that with our growth. So what is happening? I mean, if I may ask, how many data scientists are sitting in this hall? Maybe 2 or 3? Because I know one of the gentlemen here. Yeah. 3, right? And the rest of them are, I think, healthcare professionals. So what is happening? We are talking about innovation. We are talking about creativity, creations. We are talking about ease. We are talking about many other things. So let me be very clear as a data scientist. We cannot do anything, literally anything, without the healthcare professional. I'm not talking about collaboration. Going back a few years, when you were going to develop a certain software for the healthcare industry, it was like giving them the problem and the specification and everything, and the tech team was able to do the job pretty much 100%. But now the game is different. Collaboration is a small word now. We have to sit together. We have to spend time together. We have to share our brains and thoughts with the data scientists, and then they'll come up with the effective models. There are so many things happening in the healthcare sectors. We have so many ideas, but I am 100% sure not a single idea is 100% validated or authenticated if there is no healthcare professional involved. Not just involved, but the part of that idea. So the collaboration is not enough anymore. We have to sit together. In my company, we have doctors, Professor Dr. Javed Iqbal. We have many other doctors who are working full-time with us. What we are doing, we are sitting with them like 6-7 hours a day sometime, and we are understanding this is what we are going to do, and let us know how we are compatible with what we are trying to achieve. And then we are reading their brain. So I was facing a challenge. I created a software, a simple AI-driven EMR, a basic simple AI-driven EMR, and I tried to implement it in a hospital in Rawalpindi, which is not an advanced city, and I couldn't do it. 6 months of effort, I couldn't do it. Challenge: adaptability. Staff, doctors, nobody was able to cooperate and understand that. I had to buy the hospital. Then I had to recruit my own staff. If I'm in power, at least I'll be able to enforce it. And then I'll be able to set an example for the world that what AI can do for you. Crossing that barrier was very, very difficult for me. And I had to spend a lot of money on the hospital to do that part. So this is where the problem is. And this is what we are trying to solve our first goal is as a social media influencer. I don't call myself influencer, but what I'm trying to do, I've spent many years in healthcare sectors and in tech. So I know both worlds. I'm trying to educate the healthcare sector. No, I don't have to educate you, but in terms of AI, so that we could get more validated, powerful ideas out of your brain, and then it is a walk in the park for us to implement it actually. We have got, I have got 200 AI experts in my company, but they cannot think like this. They cannot innovate in healthcare sectors. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm gonna, talking to healthcare professionals and going here. And this is the first thing that Zavin Solution as a company is doing to reduce that intellectual gap, not a communication gap. I won't call it a communication gap. It's intellectual gap. To reduce that part, bring both the forums on, both the worlds together, and not in terms of a collaboration, but we have to sit together like a skin in the game thing. I'm making arrangements by different hospitals so that you invest, I invest in the system, and we create it together.
Okay.
And if you have the skin in the game, then we will innovate actually a good system. This is our goal, and this is what we're trying to do.
So I'm going to ask you a simple question again. Is the company making some money so that Pakistan is making some money?
Yeah. Oh, money is a byproduct, honestly speaking, and the company is making a lot of money. And we have system, we have deployed system in different countries. There are, many countries. I mean, we have got system in US, we have got system in Nigeria, Australia, South Africa, and now we are entering in UAE. So our system are being used, but honestly speaking, I'm recreating those systems as well. Why I'm recreating those systems is very important for everyone to understand is that, AI is about data. Everyone know that. And AI is about structured data, not only data. We know that AI is about data. AI is about structured data. So the question is, we have so many systems, Dr. Kronos, Cerner, Epic. There are so many systems in so many different organizations. They were created like decades ago, 2 decades ago, 3 decades ago. Their data, the structure of their data is not compatible with the latest LLMs that we have today. And if we just try to refine that data, mine that data, we may lose 50, 60% of that precious data. So what we have to do today is to create system, reinvent system that are AI compatible. So if new LLMs are coming, new neural networks are coming, new image recognition techniques are coming, our data should be in a perfect state to get the best out of AI. We are doing that part. Our previous system are doing well, and at the same time, I'm restructuring.
Yeah, I think that is really important. I have done a couple of EMRs. We have one of our own called Legend. I'm an old guy. I call myself Legend. So, but it is important. Let's say if some pharma company is asking data and you want to commercialize the data, usually it has to be in some format. Otherwise, it's not useful. So it is important. The systems you are buying, setting up, or getting involved, they have to be modernized according to, the latest systems. So I'll go to Uzair. Uzair, also, there is somebody, actually, Zubair Qureshi in his crowd here. Zubair, do you want to come here? We're going to and ask your question in a minute. But in the meanwhile, go ahead, Zubair. Why don't you're listening to us, you're listening to my miseries of developing EMR, then producing EMR, you're listening to Irfan, you know a lot of us. As an insider, outsider, what is your story? What do you tell us? Stop it, do your medicine, see your patients, or keep going?
I think my journey is a journey of search. So that is based on lot of questions which were not answered by a very structured medical curriculum. So I was moving from one to the other department. So I know many of my friends who are sitting here from the same industry, like the medical devices, like the basic technology. So I was trying to find out the question which is repeated again and again by Babar, where is the money? How can you make a lot of money? And what's the, it's an easy money, low hanging fruit. So we need to understand the difference between two things, effectiveness and efficiency. Effectiveness means doing the right things, and efficiency means doing the things in a right way. So if you are doing the things in a right way, and these are not the effective thing, you're not going anywhere. So that is the basic question. So I was listening to the discussion before that. So there are a lot of low-hanging fruit. So we need to have the complementary team, not the supplementary team. You bring 200 doctors here, they are not going to create anything because they are all of them, they are having the supplementary skill. So complementary teams, matrix structure, which means somebody is from the economics, somebody is from the technology. So that is the mantra, and that's the way forward, using the technology.
Thank you, Zah. So, Zubair, is that yes? Tell us your story.
Quickly, I am a technologist. So I served some good 11, 12 years with IBM Research and Development Labs in Dublin. So my core is the product development. I see technologies, few technology here or there. Very glad to hear your story. So I have had the privilege of working in the labs for good years, and especially heading the product development teams in IBM. So specialty, basically, I was inspired with IBM's the way we used to develop the products. So I always call that India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and these countries, we are more service providers. And I used to say back in 2005-6 that services are provided, unfortunately, fortunately, whatever, by the slaves actually. So we unfortunately, when we were ruled, for 70, 80, or maybe more than that, actually, of course. So I was always, struggling with one thing, that why can't we, rather be service provider and providing services to the Western world? Why can't we come up with our own products? So that was the point actually when in 2015, I quit, I left IBM. And I started my product development way back in 2009. So Alhamdulillah, what I did actually, I started a small company in 2012. In fact, I joined a company and rose that company to 1,100 resources. So where actually I'm coming is just to.
But what does your company do?
Basically, we are into healthcare product development. So we are into the same space what Irfan and we are.
Okay.
So we are a data engineering company. And basically, we work with National Health Services UK, Alhamdulillah. And I'm very proud to say that we competed with IBM Watson and enterprise performance management space and with Oracle, and we replaced these systems there, Alhamdulillah. So I remember actually when we secured the contract, even we did not have the company registered there. So we were the only company in the world that were operating out of UK from Islamabad that time, I'm talking about 2015. So basically, we are a product company. We have our own enterprise products in the space of healthcare, and you were technology agnostic products. We will talk about this inshallah later on. I know it's just an introductory session.
But what is the name of your company?
Sorry, it's HiveWorks. It's HIV, Hive, and Works, WORX. Works. Okay. Yes. So National Health Services, then we work with European Union. And then there's one, I must say that, not all products are developed enterprise. We always think, it starts with a small step. And I remember when I came with an idea of terminology, healthcare terminology, basically. So we were, alhamdulillah, the first ones who developed this largest healthcare terminology for and we implemented this in European Union. It took me 7 years to just define actually what is a patient, what is a first name, and basically to resolve ambiguities between technologies, between business, healthcare professionals and technology. So basically, what we provide is, we launched our product, in fact, in 2015, and we work for some good 700 plus hospitals across the globe. And as we speak now, Alhamdulillah, in just before Ramadan last year, we launched our product. So we are into now the partnership phases.
And how many people are working in your company in Pakistan? Because we want to make money for Pakistan.
Yeah, of course, that was one of the initiative we took. Actually, I had the opportunity by VCs, but we did not opt for the VCs. Honestly speaking, it was just self-funded company. Now we are going with the VCs, at this stage.
But
so we are 120. We are 120 resources
in Islamabad.
Yeah, in Islamabad.
Okay.
And we have the office. We are head office in Dublin, where our R&D, project management, and some other teams are sitting. Some good 13 PhDs and some other professionals sitting out there. So we are expanding now. These are all product people. We have the services staff as well, working in our Saudi Arabian projects, some European Union projects. So we are 70, 80 odd people as well.
Okay. Anybody in the audience has a burning question for any of us? Yes, please. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Dr. Shamail. I've been affiliated with various ORICs and been playing my role. My question to Irfan is that what I felt was during my observation was that a lot of the research, when we look at it from the other side, sometimes lacks the credibility or the validity or all those aspects which make it the money side of it. So I think that as it was mentioned earlier, that the collaboration between the innovators is lacking because sometimes the clinicians are not looking at it from more than their clinical side. And obviously the success has a lot of softer sides. So my question to the data scientist is that with the help of this AI, that thinking process, which is supposed to be done by different stakeholders, how do you see, how can we really accentuate the AI engines to do that innovative part, bring out the exploitable business aspects, and fast track, as you mentioned, that things are going to happen in months, instead of waiting for somebody to really look at the whole menu and find out the exploitable business prospects, which will convert into the success that we are looking for.
Great question. So again, this is the second thing that we are doing as an organization. So I'll connect it with the one point that is coming up for like a couple of times now, making money for the country. See, if we really want to do something for the country, make a lot of money for the country, it doesn't matter how many AI engineers we have got. It doesn't matter the scale at which we are providing the tech services. I don't think so it matters because it is not permanent. It is not sustainable. We have to create our intellectual properties. What is our intellectual assets? How many systems that we have produced from the Pakistan that we say proudly that this is a Pakistani system being used in US and everywhere. We talk about Dr. Corona, we talk about Apex, and many that there are other systems. We, Pakistani, are using their system and we are paying them. Sustainable business model. And now if this is the sustainable thing for the country, creating your own intellectual assets, then comes your part that how we really can do that. How we can make it faster by using AI. See, we need to start intellectual collaboration and we need to stop wasting our data, our wisdom. So let's say if Dr. Shumail, if you're not working with any tech company, any software engineer, so that means your thoughts, your wisdom, your experience is confined. We are unable to use it at all. Now the question is how we can use it. Two ways that we have to do it today. Stop outsourcing your needs to the tech companies for the sake of services and start collaboration by bringing their skin in the game on a stakeholder basis. Collaborate with the smaller startups. You'll find so many startups in Pakistan. You can empower them not by your money, but by your wisdom, your experience. They will come up with the solution. Now, how you can empower us? As I said, that everyone here should have their own GPT. There should be a shmalgpt.com. There's no hurdle in it. It can be done in one day. Have you ever considered it? One day, not more than this. One day, a tiny amount that will be paying on a monthly basis. And now LangChain is actually making it possible. I'm not even talking about OpenAI. I'm not talking about ChatGPT. I'm not talking about Facebook's large language model. I'm talking about a different technology, which is almost an open source. So you're sitting at home, you are imagining something, open a recorder or any transcript application and start talking. The transcript application will convert your thoughts into text and give it to your model. Create a website, upload your data. And then in few days, weeks, months, you will have your intellectual clone and you can send it to any person like me. And I'll ask question to Dr. Shumail without even taking your time.
Yeah. So
let
me just add to that. So since we are both doctors, so we developed, like my IT guy team is sitting in the back. We have developed 3 EMRs. We got bored. We threw them away. Now we are our 4th EMR. And why I did it, because most important for a doctor nurse is to write the note, take the history, write the note. So how can you make it easier, cheaper, faster, and still be like, save time? So what we came up with now is, luckily we did it right around COVID time. We didn't know COVID is going to happen. We said, I'm going to throw away my old system. This sucks. We're going to do the brand new one. And the brand new one is as you talk, your note is dictated. And then but before you even talk, you have to look at your chart, which sometimes is this thick. This is already now proven in literature. You can do chart review smarter using an AI model rather than a doctor or a nurse or a student helping you. So chart reviewing, 100% proven, AI can do better than we reading. So that's proven, that's done. I give talks about it whole day. Second part of the note would be that you wrote a note. Do you work here or in United States? Where do you work? Yeah, so in the United States, what we have to do is whatever we write, based on that, then we create a billing level 2 or level 3, based on what you wrote. But you can put this AI on, like the moment you finish your note, AI will look at it, say, no, you can do level 4. But if you want to do level 5, do this. So we can quickly enter that. But the really fun part, which is very important to doctors, is when you go to your decision making. So your decision, patient has, I don't know what is your specialty. Let's say patient has hypertension. He's 30-year-old, this, and Umar Sahib gonna say, okay, put him on beta blocker. But just before that, usually if it's a complicated disease, you usually ask your fellow or a student or somebody, hey, let's look it up, look at somewhere, what should we do about this patient for this condition? At that point, you're gonna scrub whatever your diagnosis and data with some research module and see, no, for this disease, you can also do this. So that comes in like precision model. So we basically were attempting to do that, and we did that. But I think in the long run, it's going to help the doctors to save time, the doctors to make more money, and for research, it's like excellent tool. So I think whichever system you are using in Pakistan or abroad has to have AI component to it to get started. I think Chima Saab may have something to add. He's looking at me. Yes.
Sure. No, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I think, first of all, congratulations to all of you for setting up this wonderful seminar. My name is Faisal Chima. I'm an associate professor at University of Houston and George Mason University in Washington, D.C. Very quickly, I think, as we say, charity starts at home. I think the same parable should be used for the innovation should also start at home. We've been talking very high-tech stuff here, but I'm sure within a mile here, there'll be probably few dozen emergency rooms where things will be written on a chit. And that'll be handed over to a patient who will probably lose it the moment he has taken the medicine from the pharmacy. So I would really like to bring everyone's attention to the thing that, it is a moment of pride that we are doing so fancy things for the rest of the world, and we are exporting that and bringing the money and foreign resources here. But we need to start developing at the same time, concurrently, the solutions for which can solve the problems. What is going on in RMU? What is going on within a mile, 2 miles, and so on and so forth. So that's one side of my comment. My other side of the comment is, I went through this book today. There were about 30 odd seminars, done during this program. I think this was the most important and significant seminar through the rest of the 5 or 6 days program. This is a seminar where we're talking about inventions, innovations, applications, changing the world, but the medical students are not here. The young people, the young talent, if they were here, or if we were in a larger auditorium where these 4 hours would have been mandatory for each student to come and hear and listen to all of this cream of the Pakistan and for overseas, maybe 1, 2, or 3 of them would get excited and they would start thinking on this process. So I think this is a wonderful seminar. I hope that in future we start thinking a little bit more about the applicability in our local areas, and as well as the applicability of our future talent, which actually can really get excited. Thank you.
Thank you. So, VC Saab have a comment. Yes.
Thank you very much. So I'm just a humble learner, so I not have the appropriate, question, but question frame up. But I think this is very pertinent to the university, that how it trickled down to the students and they come up with these ideas. I think we have made the artificial intelligence part of curriculum. So we start from very early niche because they must be first introduced to they become mandatory for 5 years in different step in a spiral form, how to learn about the artificial intelligence and practice artificial intelligence and build up a data. Very precisely, I was still struggling for 1 year to find a single person who can help us out. That how we can, put that strategy into practice of teaching to the students. So this is a very simple but very important concern on my side as a vice chancellor.
So I think
I have
Irfan may have
something
a
very
choice for
important
you.
here, actually. You brought up a thing that will solve many problem in future. This is a root cause. So what I've been trying to do as an organization, I've created a syllabus for MBBS professionals. Don't teach them AI. First, teach them the basics of technology. The thing that I've put together, I can share right after this meeting with you. It's a little booklet. What they should study. What is www? What is server? What is mobile? What is API? What is front end? What is back end? How data can go from one device to another device? You don't need any technical background at all to build that block, because I have studied both the worlds, and I sit together with a good doctor like Professor Javed Iqbal sir and many other doctors to put together everything, and we are trying to use all of our connection to make it a part of syllabus everywhere, that they should read it. You know what? If they'll read it there, they'll come up with the critical thinking in the world of AI. And then comes innovation and
So I think
creativity.
I have a solution for both of
This
you.
thing is ready.
I'm gonna ask Irfan to become an honorary lecturer advisor to this university, and the problem will be solved. Let me go to my last panelist. I think she was stuck on Murray Road somewhere. But anyway, so Sarah is a graduate of RMU like me, and now has started, one of very successful company. Sarah, why don't you tell us in few minutes your journey or whatever else you want to talk about your company? Yeah.
Dr. Babar, you are one of my early supporters who believed in me while the idea was at the inception stage. Before I even talk about the company, I think the points which I've been hearing here, we're talking about technology, we are talking about AI. We are not talking about developing an entrepreneur, right? Being an entrepreneur, being a risk taker is a different ballgame. You need to know how to lead, how to take risk. A normal person cannot be an entrepreneur. So you need to inculcate this thing into the students so that they can become risk taker rather than job seekers. So that's my first point, that this needs to be added to the curriculum in a way that leadership qualities, they stand out, they come out, and people can think out of the box. This is one thing. These are soft skills, but they're required to make any program, any sort of entrepreneur successful. Secondly, we run away, being doctors, we run away from numbers. While developing a business, developing a startup, any business requires a lot of number crunching, business plans, cost benefit analysis, financial modeling. How do we do that? We need to add all this to our programs. So that's the second thing. And number third, which is somehow being a doctor myself, I think there's one thing is like a single person can travel fast, but a team is the one which takes you further. So the team building skills, a startup is always a success when there are a group of people who are like-minded and who do the journey together. So team building skills, this is what I have learned in a very hard way. In about 7 to 8 years while developing my own company, that you cannot go there alone. So these are some of the skills which even come before technology. So
yeah,
these are some sort of the points.
Sarah, let's talk a little bit of your company. So Sarah has built a very successful company called MedIQ. After doing her MBBS from here, she did a master's from London School of Economics in Public Health, and then fought against all odds in Pakistan. Had difficulties like all of you had, and now her company is very successful. Tell us where the company is, where it is going, and what does the company do?
Yeah. So basically, like many other healthcare companies, we started as a virtual care platform. Most of the people think it's like, the common people think it's like a telemedicine company. No, but the virtual care is actually end-to-end continuum of healthcare services outside the hospital or even connected with the hospital. We started from there, virtual care, then a cloud pharmacy, cloud lab, RPM, remote patient monitoring with devices, and connecting them back to the hospital so that the whole continuum of healthcare services can be maintained within the hospital, outside the hospital. And this is how we started, alhamdulillah, about 4 years back, had initial learnings.
setbacks. But during that process, what we did is that while people were focusing on the services, we were focusing on technology, a technology which can be replicated. As a result of this, we developed technologies for hospitals, technologies for lab, so that they can outreach to the patient, for pharmacies, and for RPM. So in addition to having our services being provided in multiple markets, now we are also serving as SaaS provider in 7 countries, alhamdulillah. So in Pakistan, we have served more than 2.5 million customers as a service provider. With SaaS, we are in North America, we are in GCC area, we are in New Zealand, we're in Australia, and alhamdulillah, now we have set up 2 more physical offices in addition to Pakistan, one in Saudi and the other one in UAE. So this is a story of 4 years with the help of like-minded people, including Apna, who was one of my early supporters, my teachers. Dr. Umar was my teacher. Maybe he remembers me or not, doesn't remember me, but I'd learned a lot from him. I was in final year at that time. And a lot of the people who believed in us and brought us forward to this stage. So we initially had bootstrapping, then we had 1.8 million raised through VCs. Now, alhamdulillah, we have closed a round of $5 million from outside Pakistan. Thank you. And I'm very proud student of RMC. At that time, it was RMC, now it's RMU.
RMU. So we can go back to Akbar Saab. So any other comment you want to give us, where your company is going? What are you thinking?
There was a lot of talk about collaboration between academic institutions and industries like ours. So we've been collaborating with various universities. With some of them, we give them our ideas or our troubles, our problems, and they solve them. In some cases, they come up with innovations and we work with them towards potentially commercializing them or industrializing them. But however, somehow I feel that there's a big disconnect between the thinking of academia and the thinking of industry. And it's not just purely financial or thinking economically. For example, we were in talks with a university, I'm not going to take their name, a very big university, and they've been working on developing their own devices as well. So they very proudly told us that, we've come up with, 60, 70 devices, and we've come up with 200 patents, or America may be patent lagaya, or England may be patent hai, or ye bhi hai, wo bhi hai. So I asked them, okay, great, you have all these patents, all these devices. How many of them have been commercialized? How many of them have had an impact? 0. And that's the case across many of the universities. So they come up with these innovative products, they patent them so nobody else can get hold of that technology and put it to use. They don't have the ability to industrialize them or commercialize them. When a company like ours goes to a university, and again, I don't want to take names of universities, but they expect companies like us to fund those projects, to put in huge amounts of money towards industrializing them, but yet they want to keep the IP. So there's a big disconnect between.
Yeah, usually there is a model in Shahid, no, in United States. If me as an individual professor come up with an idea, and then I'm collaborating with somebody outside, usually it's a sharing, like university have 30% and then they have this percent. So there is a mutual model like that. Yeah.
Even the students who come up with innovations, and I've spoken to a lot of students who are doing fantastic work, really brilliant, really, intelligent. But their thinking is कि हमने ये बनाया, अब कोई आके खरीद ले, हमें millions of dollars दे और हम जान छुड़ा दें. No, it doesn't work like that. You need to be involved with your product. I cannot take your innovation and, I need the founder or the person who's come up with the innovation to be on board with me to take it further.
Yeah.
Dr. Rao, if I can
Yes.
make a comment on this topic. So I think the tech transfer office outside in the US, they give the inventors, the students, a specific amount of time to go ahead and run with that idea. If they are unable to do that, then they actually make it open, and then they can actually have the outsiders come and bid and take that whole patent out.
Yeah.
So there is like a refractory period given to them only
Yeah.
for a specific amount of duration.
Yeah, I don't
Other
think
than
that's,
that, then it is open, and they will just be the royalty seekers, probably 5% or lower than that.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of young people in the audience. Actually, they are on the Zoom, our students, some other students. And I'll, ask next few questions in reference to that. For me, myself, I work with at least 15, 20 students and fellows every day in New York, New Jersey area. And usually one of them, crazy kids, will be making an app. One of my students just finished her app and she's already making money, $5 per app. So I think for students who are listening or residents and younger doctors, really like the way there was a discussion earlier, what is the product? So my definition, if you can make something better, cheaper, and faster, that is an app or that's a startup. So if you have an idea where you are all thinking as student and younger people, if you can make same thing faster, cheaper, or better, then that's the idea. So I think work with your professors or then come up with an idea of an app, and then they'll find you people who can guide you like all of us here. Going back to Sarah, so you were a doctor. Why the hell you went to this industry then?
I think I'm a perfect candidate for this industry because I'm a doctor.
Okay.
And coming from the technologies, combining my medical knowledge with technology was the best thing which could have happened. Because what happens in the startup industry is a lot of techie people, they come forward and they think that they know the subject and they can do a lot just by adding technology to it. It's the other way around. Subjects like education, subjects like healthcare, subjects which are very sensitive, require subject matter expertise. So right from the beginning, I didn't want to practice. I always wanted to work on something which can, help people at a broader level. That's the reason I did my public health. And then during my public health journey, when I was CEO of Sehat Card, I realized that what is stopping healthcare reaching out to the people? The insurance government is ready to put in money. The insurance company is also there, but people are not able to use the services. And it was the gap between the people and the insurance company, which could only be solved through technology. And then we did some sort of interventions with that insurance company, and suddenly the utilization improved from 2% to 11%. Small little interventions. So there I realized that if technology small little interventions can do big steps, then why not use technology to do things which are cheaper, faster, and most effective? So that's the reason why I'm
Yeah,
here.
so that's I think I have been given ultimatum that I have to wrap it up soon. Pashmeen, yes, how many minutes do I have? 2 minutes. So what really my hope is, I'm a doctor like Sarah and many of you or most of you. And I still see tons of patients every day. I have 7 practices in New York, New Jersey, California, but I'm always thinking into how to make it better, how to make it faster, and how to make it fun. So at my age, I have written like 300 papers, textbook, this, but what excites me really is working with younger students and fellows and listening to their crazy questions. And some of them are like, okay, yeah, this is a good idea. We should do it. So obviously we should listen to younger students and all that. But my really our hope is now, there are like 12 cricket players selected by selectors and then they go and play. And then some of them go to World Cup. Our hope is like, maybe now the time has come that you can win even without those 12 players who are sitting on the sidelines, sitting in Pakistan or somewhere in Africa or wherever, and with the use of technology, AI and everything, and it's all available, it's open source, they'll come up with some ideas, will be winner, not just the 12 players which were selected by a selection team, which in Pakistan is controversial. So I'll end with that, and I think Shahid will come back for the next session. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for your patience. I think it's going well. This is the last session of this symposium. And we'll try to keep it as interactive as it has been, and we'll address all the questions that have not been. And I see a lot of faces and young people that I don't know, and we can probably ask them to introduce themselves, even if they don't have a question, just to see what is the breadth of interest in all this session. About Dr. Faisal Chima's question was the students' interaction. I think the first step is to introduce them in a simple manners, the ideas of entrepreneurship, and then the technology and the business aspect. I thought today's session was a little above that, and plus final year is busy with some professional. I was told their exam is coming, so but we will work with RMU definitely to get a curriculum set up and give more awareness to the RMU student and other university students as well about the startup. Now, the session that I'm moderating is growth, development, resource, and investment. The panelists in this are Dr. Rizwan Uppal, Chairman and CEO, Islamabad Diagnostic Center. Imran, if you can come here. Thank you for coming. Murtaza Najabat Ali, if you can come next to Imran. Shafiqur Rahman, CEO, Rahman Medical Institute. Rahman, idhar aa jaye, apna Shafiq at this side. And I think, is that it, Pashmeen, or there were another moderator here? No, that 3 moderators in this panel. That's it.
Rizwan, Murtaza, Shafiq.
Yeah, again. Muhammad Ali Mahmood. Muhammad Ali Muhammad. इधर आ जाओ. नहीं इधर ही आ जाओ. इधर आ जाओ. 2 इस तरफ. चलें ठीक है. Okay. All right. So we're good with our panelists. And so like I said, the purpose of this last session is that how do we grow and develop, which obviously need resources and investment. All these startup ideas, like we started in the first and second sessions, how we we come up with an idea to start a company, and then how to nurture it, incubate it, accelerate it. Now the question is how do we further develop it? How do we grow it further? And where are those resources and investment opportunities in Pakistan and abroad? So I'm hoping that our panelists will take us through, along with a small introduction of their, bio or company's journey, and then answering that question. So I'll start with Dr. Rizwan Uppal. Tell us about yourself briefly and your journey, which has these answers also incorporated, but you have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much for inviting. And first of all, I must start with saying that it's a very exciting conference that I'm learning a different thing today. Although I've been doing a few things like this, but seeing like this is first time. I'm a practicing healthcare professional, basically. I'm a medical specialist and a pulmonologist. I graduated from Army Medical College and left Army in 2002. And then an idea came into, I turned into an entrepreneur. I would not say that I have left my medicine practice. I'm still doing that. But one thing that I have learned, I have not learned these things that I was listening for the last some time. I have never learned how to make innovation, but I have done innovations. I have never learned how to make an enterprise, but I have made an enterprise. So this makes me feel and understand that one thing is most important in my understanding. There are so many things to start an enterprise, and that is just to find the gap. I'll come on this by saying how IDC started. Once I started my clinical practice, although I had done my USMLEs and my match was done there, so I decided to first stay for 1 year in Pakistan and start my practice in a private clinic. I realized that one prescription has multiple needs. So once a patient used to come to me for his consultation, I used to advise maybe blood CP, a chest X-ray, CT scan. And after 2 weeks or 3 days or 5 days, he used to come back to me, not because of the financial reasons, but for the other reasons that lab used to be at one place, X-ray and another place, CT scan at third place. In that time, 2002, there was nothing at one place. So I suggested my friends and colleagues, pathologists and radiologists, to come under one roof. That will help patients, because that was the gap. I never knew that was the gap, but actually it was waiting for someone. So after a few months, few of my friends told me that I asked them that I have proposed you this idea, why you have not considered that? One of my friend told me that they said he's a young lad from army. He doesn't know the dynamics of civil, how it works. So I thought, okay, let's start it myself. I started with a very small setup in my own native city, Wakand, and after 1 year in Islamabad with the name of Islamabad Diagnostic Center. And I was thinking how to start that. I never knew the spelling of the gantry of a CT scan because I'm not a radiologist. I never knew what is EBITDA and never knew what is ROI. So all these things, without knowing all these things, in a developing country with no knowledge of the business, if I could do that, it doesn't mean that I was a smart man. It means that there was a gap that no one has had since. And secondly, Pakistan is a fertile soil. So these are the two things that I wanted to emphasize. So today, IDC, Alhamdulillah, is spread across 44 cities of Pakistan with 2,500 people working. I had made my own CV at one stage once I left army, or just otherwise I had to pursue my career in Bridgeport Hospital, Connecticut, where I was about to be selected. But I am happy that in this way I was able to add more. Today we are accredited for the FCPS Part 2 qualification. We're running that course. We do 4 million diagnostic patients, not the test, 4 million patients annually. We have 130 branches spread across 44 cities, and more than 2,500 people are working. You asked one question almost to every other people, that how much it is bringing to Pakistan economy. And I just fetched one of the slip. I don't know about the others, but in Pakistan, the IDC healthcare slip, each and every slip is connected with the FPR. So each and every transaction is also going to FPR. 2,500 jobs are there. We are contributing academically for the FCPS Part 2. We are also constitutional part of medical colleges for the teaching, sending our teachers. We have one of the largest radiologist panel in IDC, 150 plus radiologists, more than 75 to 80 pathologists in IDC. And also we have established few verticals. So these verticals that I kept learning during the course of the time, like, for example, if I sense that we need some IT solution, instead of just procuring, we have our own IT team. And now we are in the position even to offer these IT solutions to the other healthcare. We have our own app made in IDC, which is one of the best apps. And we are in the position to offer that to someone else as well. So I believe that these verticals, these not only synergize your plan A, but also they are separate independent businesses once you start to grow. Islamabad Diagnostic Center, because of my own personal that I would like to emphasize about the funding and the other things, because this is a part of the session as well.
Right.
I believe that maybe because of the religious reason, we do not believe in any banking facility. We do not take any loan from the bank because the interest. We do not even keep our funds into any account which is profit-based. And that is one thing. Once One Equity in 2017 started to join us, they asked us they want to have some share with IDC. And my one condition was that any share that I will be giving them, we will not be having any banking facility in the system. Till to date, we are just giving them maybe dividends, but we have not taken anything to growth as of yet. Not only that, we have brought more than $50 million in form of a hospital in Lahore, in the form of an Evergare hospital, initially Abraj, then it was taken over with the TPG, Texas Pacific Group. So that is the other thing that we are contributing for Pakistan economy as well. So this is about IDC, how I started that.
So did you say that no interest in your economy, or?
No, any money that we raise from the business, usually we do not siphon out like other businesses do. We reinvest that into the business. And also we do not keep that into the profit-based accounts in the banks. Neither we take anything from the bank, nor we give any franchise so far, because just to not to let the business, although I know I'm talking all these against the business norms and the global norms. I know so many people will be thinking and must be having few questions, but this is what I have tested and it is proved. And such models which I have tested goes through turbulences the times, like even the COVID economy, recession, whatsoever. And so far, we are making good growth.
Gee, mashallah, we know about the company, but can you tell us for the fear that the young people have that when they hear, and which is true, that 90% of the startup will fail. What should they think when they say that the failure rate is so high in startups?
This is a very good question. First of all, fear is the biggest reason, fear of failure is the biggest reason of failure that I have seen. Had I known that I may fail, I would have definitely not started. I never knew that what I'm going to start. So first thing. Secondly, money is the last thing that any enterprise needs to. Although that is most important, I'm not saying that you need money to get the property where you have to start the business for the HR salaries and everything. But money is the last thing. The most important thing for any innovator is how confident he or she is on the innovation or the idea that he is going to start. If the innovation or the idea is going to fill the gap, I am 100% sure that they're very difficult, it's very difficult for that enterprise to fail. If I believe that I'm going to do something which is going to add value, just to give you one example, I was listening to one of the session, it was very good. Mr. Irfan was saying, I must appreciate, you were talking very good. But one thing, you said that you had to purchase a hospital just to reinforce what you believed in. You did good. I'm not saying that that's wrong, but I believe that if we make a solution, it is so attractive and so alluring and so much filling the gap. For example, my maid who doesn't know about any mobile app or anything, she can do easy pesa because this is her need and she will learn it. So if we make some solution for the patients, for the common man, for anyone, benefit for the humanity or whatsoever we can say, that will work. So if someone is making an idea which will fill the gap immediately, people who are going to use that will queue up immediately before that it is even fully marketed, and invested, they will queue up immediately before even if it is launched to them for the funding or anything. So this is my belief on that.
Great. Thank you. Let me move on to our next panelist, Dr. Murtaza Najabat Ali. He's the CEO of Revive Medical Technologies. So Murtaza, tell us about yourself and your journey and the startup resources and development of investment. Yes.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Murtaza Najabat Ali, and by profession I'm a biomedical engineer, and I've been working for the last almost more than 2 decades in both academia, industry, in the research and development of different medical devices. I started my journey way back in 2004-5. I was in UK. I studied in 3 universities in UK. That was the time when I wrote a letter to the President of Pakistan. It was well received, and I ended up in NESCOM. It's a defense industry organization, where I set up Pakistan's first pilot scale medical device production plant. It was a coronary stent, bare metal stent plant. And then after a year or so, NESCOM management, even Chairman NESCOM, Dr. Samar Warukman, he gave me land behind NESCOM headquarters, and I was working directly under the ambit of Planning Commission and Ministry of Science and Technology. We got hold of some funds as well, but because of the Pakistani system, we actually envisioned purpose-built medical devices development center in 2007-8. But that never happened. So I had to go back to UK, and I was studying there. I was doing my doctorate there. And into 2012, I landed back in NUST, where I founded the biomedical engineering department. We started postgraduate program for both masters and PhD, because in Pakistan, uh, it was my plan that I will again, make an attempt to set up industry. But for that purpose, we couldn't have that industry ready HR available. So I initially set up that biomedical engineering department as a founder. And then in 2015, I again got the funding from Ministry of Science and Technology for the same setup for coronary stents and for angioplasty balloon catheters. And to my good luck, and for I'm sorry, because there was stent scandal occurred in Punjab, and Supreme Court took suo motu notice, and Prime Minister office took very serious notice, and Mr. Fawad was actually dealing directly with us. And that was a time when the Prime Minister office called upon me, and then they gave me a mandate to set up this purpose-built medical devices development center, which we actually planned way back in 2007-8 in NESCOM. So that was there. Then that journey started, and then that center was established as a center of excellence. And sequel to that completion of that center, Planning Commission again gave us a direction to set up a special purpose vehicle, a commercial arm of that center, that whatever we are producing into that center, it should just come out into the hospitals and to the patients through that commercial arm. And then Innovative Health Technologies was founded. So I was having a multiple portfolio in NUST, but I was also actually an employee of Planning Commission and Ministry of Science and Technology, and working directly with federal government. So I was a professor there. I was founding HOD Biomedical Engineering Department. I was also founding Director Medical Devices Development Center, and I was also founding CEO Innovative Health Technologies. So I recently left NUST and both Ministry of Science and Technology, and I started and joined Revive Medical Technologies as a CEO and co-founder. And I tried to harness all those specialities which I was where I was working, both in academia and industry. So I sort of consolidated everything within this setup. So let me apprise you with Revive Medical Technologies. It's basically a first of its kind in the world, because it really intrigued me, and I was very excited to join this kind of setup, because of the reason medical device innovation process, is a very costly, is a very time-taking process in the world. And this process always originates either from the physician's mind or from the manufacturer, or sometimes most of the cases after COVID, especially from startup companies. So whatever is the origin of this kind of innovation process, they would need a contract research organization. And there are like 590 to 600 contract research organizations in the world. Most of them, they are clinical research organizations. They regulate clinical trials. And the rest of the contract research organizations, they have very limited scope. Because medical device industry is so diverse, there are different types of medical devices, like active medical devices and non-active medical devices. And if you just talk about regulatory classification of the devices, there are like many classifications of the medical devices, like class 1, class 2A, 2B, according to FDA, class 3. And so they are just having a very limited scope. So if the physician has any ingenious idea, he will have to go through multiple venues to get the prototype done and the product done, even the testing and validation of the product done. And that makes the whole process very costly and very time taking. So at Revive Medical Technologies, we have 5-6 different verticals where we are operating, and we are giving actually end-to-end full range services with a very multidisciplinarity approach and holistic approach. That one of our domain is biomaterials and drug discovery and drug synthesis. And the another domain we are operating is non-active medical devices, like invasive devices like stents and angioplasty balloon catheters and vascular plugs and occluding devices, so things like that, which doesn't need any circuitry and the software. The third vertical is active medical devices, like respiratory devices, monitoring devices, remote monitoring devices, wearables, where you would need an embedded system and software. So that is our third vertical. The fourth vertical is artificial intelligence-based medical diagnostic softwares. And we are developing these AI-based different models for different entities in the world, where we get the data from the clinical side, and then we train our model and for the classification of different diseases. And the fifth vertical is not actually stationed within the ambit of Revive Medical Technologies. That is one of my another company which I just handed over to my wife probably a decade ago, and she's an FDA and CE mark specialist. So that makes the whole process, you know, we call it one-stop shop. If you have any ingenious idea, you will come with that idea. We will convert it into a design, then into a product, and we'll transform it into a product, then testing of the validation of the product, and eventually you will get an FD or CE mark product in the end. So we call it again an idea to into invoice. You just come up with an idea, and in the end you have a commercializable product ready for you. Either you can get into manufacturing on your own, and you can just transfer that technology to the relevant manufacturing industry. And there is another side of our services, which is manufacturing consultancy, because we have a very long proven track record of manufacturing in the realm of medical devices. So we have started giving manufacturing consultancy, and recently I'm very pleased to announce here that through a European Medical Device Association, there's a royal group in Saudi Arabia. They got the recommendation from Europe, and they signed an agreement with us. And we currently we are setting up Saudi Arabia's first medical device industry, which is going to produce coronary stents, both drug-eluting and angioplasty balloon catheters and diagnostic angiographic catheters. So this is Revive Medical Technologies, a very quick trajectory about my portfolio. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Shafiq Rahman from Rahman Medical Institute. I'll talk about the story of RMI, and I'll share some of my story as well. The story of RMI dates back about 3 decades when our founder chairman, who happens to be my father, was working in Karachi, Professor Mohammed Rahman. He's a pioneer in cardiac surgery in Pakistan, and he realized that there's so many patients traveling from all over the country to some of the bigger cities, that back then it was largely Lahore and Karachi, to avail services which he felt should be available and accessible everywhere. And it is with that vision that an institute was set up in Peshawar, which opens its doors finally in 2002. The vision for RMI was to be much more than a single hospital focusing on any one specialty. The vision for RMI was to be a mother center or a center of excellence in a number of tertiary care disciplines, but also for it to support the upgradation of healthcare in the wider region. So over the last couple of decades now, not only have we served the northern part of the country, but Afghanistan has largely been dependent because of our geographical proximity and other similarities as well. A lot of Afghan patients have benefited from the facilities we offer. In a snapshot, we are a 500-bed hospital, 2 hospitals rather. We've got about 2,500 staff members. We've got 5 colleges with about 2,500 undergrad students in 16 different undergrad disciplines. We have about 200 postgrad trainees in 24 different postgrad disciplines. On the innovation front, we're very proud to be hosting one of the labs for the National Center of Big Data and Cloud Computing. It is an HEC-funded project that we are hosting in Peshawar, and it's called the Precision Medicine Lab. We're very proud to have the first NGS, the next-gen sequencer in Pakistan, is hosted at RMI. Where we're working on a number of projects, one of them being an oral cancer project, the largest of its kind in the world right now. So there's a lot of stuff happening on the educational front. There's a lot of work that is happening in healthcare as well. Amongst some of the disciplines that we're really focusing on, other than cardiac surgery, cardiology, we have one of the more successful renal transplant programs in Pakistan right now. That is housed over there, among many other things. Going forward, we're hoping to be a university in the very near future. RMU was taken, so we'll be Rahman University when that happens. We've got an RMC as well, by the way, Rahman Medical College. So that's generally where we stand. In terms of the discussion topic today and where we find ourselves, and about me, I'm not a medical doctor by background. I enrolled in a med school. I ran away after a year. I realized it's not for me. And I decided to pursue something that I enjoyed. Haven't looked back since. So I did my MBA in healthcare from Germany back in 2007 and 8. In fact, my master's thesis was on the challenges of implementing health information technology in a developing country. So I've been fascinated with startups and innovation, entrepreneurship, and the role that technology can play in healthcare since then. So over the years, I'm wearing a couple of hats. So there's a student competition called the Global Student Entrepreneur Awards. I'm the regional chair for the Global Student Entrepreneur Awards. It's a studentpreneur competition for which I look after the Middle East, Pakistan, and the Africa region. Other than that, I'm working with the National Incubation Center in Peshawar, a facility which has really helped startups, go to the next level. So I'm actively mentoring a lot of startups. I serve on their advisory board as well. Other than that, we're doing some innovation work within our institution as well, and a number of other projects as well. Connecting that to some of the discussions over here, I think there's enormous possibilities that we've been discussing since morning, and there's obviously huge challenges as well. So it's important to give a balanced picture on both sides, and I'll try and start with the slightly negative side. Healthcare, unfortunately, Pakistan is very fragmented. It's a very fragmented, both the formal and the informal health sector, which makes it really difficult for innovations to be implemented and applied to some of the different challenges that you face. As we've seen in various markets, the US notably, insurance drives a lot of innovation. The adoption of a lot of healthcare technologies in the US was driven by insurance. I personally feel, Sehat card was a massive wasted opportunity in Pakistan. It's very tragic the way it has turned out, but that was one opportunity where healthcare providers could be given an incentive and motivated to adopt technologies and bring about a lot of those changes. And even otherwise, when I say fragmented, there's such a massive need for greater coordination and collaboration. I mean, Dr. Saab talked about labs. I mean, there'll be two facilities sitting next to each other, and a patient who goes from one to another would have to repeat all of those diagnostic tests. There's very little coordination. There's very little coordination within the private healthcare, within the public sector, and then within the wider healthcare ecosystem as well. So those are some of the critical challenges that we are faced with. We on our part are trying to overcome the same, working with so many hospitals in KP and the rest of the country to see how we can come together on a common platform to see how we can support each other, keeping the competitive spirit to a side and seeing where we can join hands for our common goals. But I have to say, I mean, it's not all doom and gloom. There's a lot of positives which give us enormous hope for the way forward as well. When we see this massive necessity and this massive needs, we talked about, the ride-hailing services and how quickly those were adopted just because they were filling a gap in the market. And, the language barrier or literacy didn't matter. Where in the country you are didn't matter. It was fulfilling a need, and it was widely adopted in a very short time frame. I think the same applies to healthcare as well. I mean, the moment you fill in a void, the moment you start addressing a critical need, adoption is going to be lesser of a challenge. I also see our disadvantages as a positive for another reason. I think generally, and there was a very good comment earlier about we talk about the fancy, all the modern innovations and all the cutting edge technologies that are being developed here, but they're really concentrated in a handful of healthcare providers in Pakistan. Probably 99% of the provider base right now does not benefit from. They're still very much pen and paper, those slips of paper, and that's where it is. But I see that as a positive, because what it does is we now have an opportunity to leapfrog a whole generation. We've seen how good documentation and good protocols and practices have been there for ages in so many countries. We've hardly had any of those. But again, using technology, we can leverage that in a way to really jump start and leapfrog. It's like it's like the UAE coming up with a train system like 20 years ago, whereas London had a tube, God knows, 60, 70 years ago. You would go straight for maglev and all the latest technologies. It's the same over here. So you go from probably zero medical records to paperless records, and as we learned earlier, technologies allow it to be done at a fraction of the cost, allow it to be done faster. Language we now know is no longer a barrier. And there is massive appetite. There is huge appetite, particularly in the younger generation and amongst the wider patient population as well. People expect services at home. People expect their health information to be made accessible to them. And COVID was such a great reminder. There was so much doom and gloom in COVID, but it showed us, that there is this opportunity for an uptake of these solutions when there was a need, and the adoption was there. So I see massive appetite. I see massive opportunities. It just needs far greater collaboration than what we see, unfortunately, right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Muhammad Ali Muhammad. I'm also not a medical doctor, an electrical engineering by profession. My father did want me to become a doctor. I wanted to become a pilot. He still got his wish when I did my PhD in electrical engineering. So somehow fathers always win. Besides my own professional journey, I now represent the Special Technology Zones Authority, which is an organization of the government of Pakistan, which helps companies to scale up. And this particular organization has the following mandate. It provides two types of licenses: a license for zone developers as well as zone enterprises. Zone developers are the entities which develop technology, which develop infrastructure, and the zone enterprises are the entities which are responsible for doing technology, for developing technology. So technology infrastructure developers and technology developers. And then they both are brought together in one place to form a technology zone. So our other mandate is also to establish an ecosystem. Now, the benefits that we provide are primarily taxation benefits. So if a company is registered with us, their corporate taxes, their custom duties for the equipment that they import, they are waived. If there is any venture capital coming in, the venture capital firm also wins, as well as this company is able to attract venture capital into it. Another thing is this special foreign exchange account that we provide. So most of the discussion by my co-panelists today has been on how a company can be formed or how a startup can grow. Over here, we are assuming that at least one of the ideas is already making money, and the company structuring has been done. So the company formation has been done. There's an FBR registration and everything is done. And now the company needs to scale up. So the tax advantages that we provide would actually help that company to increase their bottom line and plow back those funds into further development and further growth. So most of the things that we heard today would qualify. A company working on AI for medical would qualify. One of the other panelists who alluded to medical transcription, billing, coding, and all of that would qualify. A company making devices, for example, would qualify. Devices, whether they are medical devices or the devices that were mentioned earlier by Alsons, etc., they would. But this company has to be part of a technology zone. Since we are a new organization, only 2 years old, right now there are 11 notified technology zones in the country. 7 of them operational, 2 each in Islamabad, Karachi, Haripur, and 1 each in Faisalabad and Lahore. And inshallah, these will keep increasing. The requirements are much lesser than special economic zones where you need 50 acres to set up industrial units. Here, you can be 5 acres or 250,000 square feet. But understanding the scope is important. If someone is a really nascent startup, they better be in a co-working space or in a university incubator. If somebody is already making money, then they should come into a technology zone, because now that they're making money, it's about profits and how to increase the profits to plow back those funds. And if they become very large, then we welcome them to establish their own technology zones.
Great. So are you saying that the VC firms will have that so inside the country or outside?
So both. So first of all, the way the law is written, that a VC firm can also be registered as a company, because the law, it says that you have to be doing R&D operations financing or investment in 48 technological areas. So if somebody is making investments in those technological areas, then that would be a venture capital firm, for example. But then they have to be investing in technology and not in other areas. But if there is also a zone enterprise and a venture capital firm doesn't want to register in the country, but they are investing in an existing zone enterprise, they would also be able to receive tax-free dividend outside. So for further details on how this law is structured, we've also taken legal advice on this from our legal panelists, and that's how they've explained this. So we can elaborate this separately.
So, great. So now I would invite actually the for our panelists from the attendees or participants, any takers.
Shahid, there is a student here. He said, "Can I ask you a question?"
Sure.
My name is.
मेरे कुछ फ्रेंड्स हैं यूके के मेडिकल स्कूल्स में और वहाँ पे डेटा का ट्रेंड बहुत नजर लेकिन यहाँ पे उतना ट्रेंड नहीं हमें नजर नहीं आता वहाँ पे हेल्थ टेक कॉन्फ्रेंसेस हो रही है रोज एंड वहाँ पे स्टूडेंट्स अपनी पिच करते हैं अपने आइडियाज और कम्युनिटी के साथ इंटरेक्ट कर रहे हैं, जबकि यहाँ पे हम लोग ऐसे कर सकते हैं कि वंस यू ग्रेजुएट तो एक दौड़ सी लग जाती है, पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन करनी है एंड देन सो ऑन, तो उसमें हमारे पास टाइम नहीं बचता इन चीज़ों के लिए. तो व्हाट वी कैन डू इज़ कि हम अंडर ग्रेड स्टूडेंट्स के लिए जैसे इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेजेस के अंदर फाइनल ईयर प्रोजेक्ट्स होते हैं, हम इस तरह अंडर ग्रेड स्टूडेंट्स को प्रॉब्लम्स प्रेजेंट कर दें कि हॉस्पिटल में ये इश्यूज आ रहे हैं एंड देन आप इसका सोल्यूशन प्रपोज करें एंड वो 5 साल उस पर काम करें एंड इवन एट द एंड ऑफ 5 years अगर वो उसके सोल्यूशन कोई नहीं भी निकलता तो एटलीस्ट वी हैव अंडर ग्रेड स्टूडेंट्स जिनके पास क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग एंड प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल्स होंगी और वो अल्टीमेटली लीड करेंगी, अच्छे एंटरप्रेन्योर्स वहीं से निकलेंगे. एंड दूसरा यूके में एक ये बहुत अच्छी चीज़ है कि वो शॉर्ट कोर्सेज लॉन्च किए उन्होंने हेल्थ टेक फेलोशिप्स ऑफर करते हैं, शॉर्ट कोर्सेज हैं उसके. तो आई थिंक अगर RMU में भी उस तरह के कोर्सेज वगैरह ऑफर किए जाएं तो दैट वुड बी अ ग्रेट एडिशन एज वेल. दैट्स इट. थैंक यू सो मच. Yeah, good idea.
Any other question?
There is another.
Ji.
Mike later.
Mike later.
Assalamu alaikum. Here I am Sundar Suhail from University of Law Islamabad campus. By profession, I am a pharmacist. I have completed my PharmD studies from University of Lahore Islamabad campus and MPhil Pharmaceutics. Recently, I am awarded with the fellowship program from the HEJ ICCBS, from the Comstek. I am really acknowledge them and HEC for providing this opportunity. This was the 6 weeks program and it grown me so very well. They have very well furnished labs. They have a very, very excellent environment over there. You should visit for the research and development for the as well as for the AI centers. Thank you.
Ji. Any other questions for our panelists? So Rizwan, I come back to you again, that when IDC started, did you not have need for, did you do the fundraising in
No.
initial stages?
Not specifically at that time, because I started that as a small setup in my house, which I had vacated because I had moved to Islamabad. So I thought that maybe a small experiment will work. And initially my only motive was to help my patients only. So it was basically for my needs, not keeping in mind that I'm going to start an enterprise at that stage. But within few months' time, I realized that this is something which I should seriously consider. And the first commercial sort of step was taken in Islamabad in F8, just after 1 year. And what I did, I started with everything which was not available. I believed in that time, instead of adding up in the crowd, I should do something which is not available. So even today, I do not believe in competition in the healthcare. I believe healthcare setups are synergistic, but I knew because I was going to start something, so people will take me as a competitor. So I remember first thing that I chose, I saw from my medicine books, it's mentioned that 20% of the patients are claustrophobic who do not get their compulsory MRI done despite their needs.
Right.
So I started with the open MRI.
Great.
And I just, it took me one day to make my feasibility. I called all the MRIs in Islamabad and they were being done around 120 MRIs a day. So I thought that maybe 20% should be my piece of pie. And we started with 16 MRIs in the first 3 months' time. So we were there. Secondly, I saw that there is no digital X-ray. Digital X-ray is everywhere now. But at that time, low dose, crisp, sharp images and teleradiology, that was a new thing in 2003. So we started with that. And we were there because no one was doing that. And people do not took us as a competition. So that was how we started. And I felt that I was able to, even initial days, get something which was not brand new. Maybe the first CT scan, I remember that was not the brand new CT scan because the funds were not there. So we started with that. And subsequently, now we have around 40 CT scanners, all state of the art, 128 plus slicer. We have 17 MRIs, which is the largest in Pakistan number. More than 7 are cardiac MRI capable machines. So this is how we started, and we reinvested everything into.
Right. So that's a great, that brings me to a question always in my mind. I think any of the panelists can take, because when Rizwan used the term bootstrapping, it's very common in the West that when you have an idea, you put some money into it of your own. So that gives a validation to your commitment to the investors, that if you have put, say, 100,000 of your own money into it and get to the proof of concept or prototype, then you're a serious person. When we started the Revive Labs, which is a platform to attract the young entrepreneur of Pakistan, so that we can discuss with them how is their venture, how's their idea, so that we can incubate and accelerate. Basically, that was the idea. Over about 8 months now, we have seen this problem. I'm not sure if it's representing an actual problem, but what we have seen is that the people, the entrepreneur or young entrepreneur in Pakistan, they're looking for investment at a very early stage, and they do not want to put any money of their own or their family and friends. But I understand that Pakistan is not, a first world country. There are a lot of problems, especially the money. So how do we tackle that at a very early stage when the founder is not willing to bootstrap?
Yeah, I'll share my few cents, and you're very right. And this is the most common observation that I see as well, which is most unfortunate. People don't realize, that you're in it for the long haul. They want to get into it, get some money out of it, win a few awards here and there, and make a quick exit without realizing the need for there to be so much maturity. Many of them would just, scratch the surface. A solution, because we're no longer competing in a very local landscape. The solution could be from anywhere in the world. You're competing with all of them. That level of depth is not available. And I think here is where universities and ORICs and these incubation centers have such an important role to play. As was said by a panelist earlier, you can teach them all the tech skills and all the latest technologies, but what is important is teaching them this kind of stuff as well, making them realize, whether it's communication, whether it's ethics, or whether it's the fundamentals, that you don't want to dilute yourself and just get some money in it and get out of it. There needs to be a clear strategic direction and a clear strategic plan. And I think this is where all of us come in as well. The need for us to commit our time, whether it's mentors, whether it's investors, or just supporting this wider ecosystem. whether it's Silicon Valley or any other center in the world, these founders or these startups can only do so much in isolation. They can only thrive when there is this whole ecosystem around them. And I'm sure we've come a long way in the last decade or so, but there's still so much to do. I mean, look at, I don't know, car manufacturing in Detroit. You've got whole cities in China who only manufacture socks, for example. So it needs that overall ecosystem. And there's this massive need for us to develop that ecosystem specifically for health tech, where you've got academia, where you've got pharma, biotech, healthcare providers, government, all of them to come together. But you rightly raised a point that, and it's very common for the younger generation generally to want to, fast track things. They have all these role models. Everyone wants to be an Elon Musk. Everyone wants to be the Zuckerberg and so on. But, adjusting and helping them better understand the dynamics and making them realize the stages that they have to go through, and the level of commitment that is required. It in many cases it can't be a part-time venture. You can't say, I have a full-time job, but I'll give it a couple of hours in the evening and I'll make it big. That point about having the skin in the game and being truly and fully committed is just so essential if one is to make that a success.
I think the awareness is the key, because you mentioned Elon Musk, but many like Elon Musk, the founders, it's really not about, in my opinion, the founders, the most critical ingredient is not the money, but the idea is their baby. So how you nurture your baby, you don't eat or drink and give your baby the milk. You don't sleep and give your baby the comfort of growing and whatever the baby needs. You sacrifice yourself. You sleep on the couch. You work in the garage and give your baby a chance to thrive. So I think that fundamental essential component of being a founder maybe is not captured well here. So Anwar Khan sahab, aap apna experience bataएं Park Angels के साथ.
Yeah, thank you for giving me opportunity. Yeah, so I really see that, as you were saying, that whether somebody is willing to spend $100,000, that goes with the elite founders only. But our objective is that anyone nationwide, if has a good idea, if has a passion to drive that idea, should be able to turn that idea into commercial reality and highly scalable reality. So somebody made a comment on building an ecosystem. So this startup ecosystem, it does include these few factors. Not only will be able to have a passion on the founder side or the team side, but then having angel investors, which don't exist. So our local people, they invest in real estate, they made a lot of money or so, but they don't realize the much larger scale profits they can make from the startups. It is true that startup failure rate is high. It's true for those startups when you don't go through the proper discipline. But if you properly choose the startups with the proper business disciplines, the failure rate goes down on the startups. Okay, and the other ones which may have an idea but they are not ready, we need to handhold them. So I think that's also part of the ecosystem that we need to create. So we can't just put a person who has a passion, put into the swimming pool, let him die or let her die. We must need to complement that. So that's what would be.
I will just add one thing. Just add one thing. This is very important because starting an enterprise, I have made one definition: demand-led model versus supply-led model. Demand-led model means if I know and I have confidence in my innovation, even if I'm a doctor, a clinic is also an SME, small enterprise. So I should start with my own model, demand-led, put in as much as is demanded by that entity, keep putting money according to that. Once it grows, then it becomes visible on the radar of the investors and other people as well. Then supply-led model should come in and then grow. Initially, I fully agree with you that these investors, they are not visible actually. They can pick you anywhere. IDC became visible on the radars of the TPG in 2018. And that was not the time when we needed money from them. Actually, they were interested to come and invest into. So that is something, instead of making a raw leather and selling it, make it a bag, sell it, or put it on the LV brand and sell it even at more expensive. So that is how we can
Absolutely. So just one last comment. I want to leave that thing. I think that's the reason Park Angels have formed that platform, is how we can develop this angel investor culture. So if we put that in mind, that this is needed to take all these passions, turn those passions into the next level. Now, angel fund doesn't take you all the way to commercial reality of that idea. Angel fund take you to the level where there's a level of traction, there's an initial momentum, then the proper funding, as you rightly said. Then there are many investors that would come in and would try to invest in that thing. But this gap that's really open right now, we all collectively should explore that thing, how we can drive it.
Amongst investors. Investors should compete, not that
Absolutely.
we should go and sell them at the seed money. And subsequently, I fully agree with you. That's the point. As to for the young, I was really happy with this young student. And
yeah.
this is the level which I don't expect
And
that.
he's from RMU, so he'll be working with Dr.
I will
Akbar
be very happy
to create that cell here for the education of the
I would
children.
like to add one.
Saira was first, and then I'll let you go.
Thank you so much. I think being a founder myself, and now that I'm angel investing, I have 2 or 3 different points which would like to make here. Maybe some of them are, points to ponder on. First of all, देखिए इसमें फाउंडर से ज्यादा जो कोविड के बाद हमने वीसी फंडिंग को ग्लैमराइज कर दिया. Okay, this person has raised $120 million and the newspapers were full of that. So that glamour and was around that fundraising was something which actually destroyed the mindset of the young founders. They thought it's all about glamour and making money, while it's not. So that is one of the reasons the जो glamour का बीच में एक element आ गया था, उसकी वजह से fundraising की वजह से unnecessary expectations develop हुई. I have seen, unfortunately, I don't want to mention here, I've seen 2 founders committing suicide because they developed unnecessary, unrealistic expectations. Secondly, we should keep in mind that the ecosystem for startup is very nascent here in Pakistan. We just started, हमारे 2 या 3 COVID के बाद ही शुरू हुआ था. It has to evolve. And it has to evolve in a way जिस तरह बाकी जगहों पे evolve हुआ है. Starting from the right institutions who can train those startups like incubators, accelerators, and then moving towards the VC funding. So that's the second point, that if we have those incubators and accelerators which really properly train, because जब मैं किसी incubator accelerator का हिस्सा थी, तो जब मुझे बार-बार वही चीज repeat करवाई दी जा रही थी, जो कि कहीं से किसी ने PowerPoint की slide उठाई, तीसरी दफा मैंने आके कहा कि I can even literally tell you कि spelling mistakes कहाँ पे हैं. So that needs to be developed parallelly. And thirdly, let's be very clear about, there is a difference in a startup, there is a difference in an SME, and there is a difference in an enterprise. People take that normal businesses who have been there for ages and improving the efficiency, it doesn't make it a startup.
No.
Startup is a disruptive idea, which is out of box thinking, and it requires money to scale up, not to do the MVP. Definitely MVP तक आप angel investors को लेके आए, test in. If the product is good enough to be scaled, then you definitely need a lot of money for that. So ये 3 चीजें हमारे यहाँ अभी तक confusion में है कि startup क्या है, SME क्या है, एक enterprise क्या है. So उसको हमें separate करना है, और उसके बाद जाके जो है फिर हमारी expectations ठीक होंगी. तो ये 3-4 चीजें हैं, जब तक वो हम evolve करेंगे, definitely evolve करेंगे. At the same time, इन questions को भी हमें answer करना होगा. But yes, I'm in it right now. मैंने 3 angel investments की हुई हैं in 3 young girls, जिनको मैं basically only hand holding करके उनको even how to develop a financial model is what I am teaching them. And the ticket size is not big, it's $10,000. And they have come to a stage where they have started having traction. So this is what is needed here. Thank you.
Right. So that's what Park Angels is doing. That's what we are doing at Revive Labs, and then TAJDEED. Murtaza, you had a comment.
Actually, I would like to draw your attention towards one of the factors which is associated with the failure of many companies, not even in Pakistan, but I've actually came across many companies in Denmark, in Sweden, and especially in US, that, every industry has its own standards and regulations and regulatory framework. So if a startup company in Pakistan or elsewhere has come up with an idea, they should have that kind of knowledge about the standards and directives and regulatory process, because most of the startups in Pakistan and in the world, they go through their development process several times. I'm working with US-based companies in Illinois. We are working also with the Danish companies. So what they did, some of the companies, they've developed a software and they are getting it tested and validated from us. And, you know, at the 11th hour, they've realized that their whole development process, you know, is not associated with any regulatory framework. And they will have to go back to the drawing board and then come back with the proper development, which we call it, so a software development life cycle. And then we started the testing and validation exercise. Same is the case with medical devices, that there are universities, and there's University of Cincinnati. We've signed an NDA and MU. We are developing technology for them. There are a couple of universities in Pakistan. They've already developed their proof of concepts. And they came to us that, you know, to convert that prototype into a product. And then we realized that even the prototype is not actually ready as a proof of concept. And we had to go back to the drawing board. And we started with the design. It was a frozen design. And then we started working with the design architecture. So in the medical device, in the realm of medical devices, there are always components. There are always components and raw materials, and there is always an architecture of that device. So if the component in raw material is not medical grade, and if the architecture of the medical device is not actually compliant with the medical device standards, you will end up with the failure.
I think this is a very valid point for the healthcare market, especially where the compliance issues are huge. So there should be some book, maybe you could write a small booklet for all these startups to consult on. I mean, just a one effort that can be, and you put it online and then people, they can look at it. So any informed person could do that. I think could be a huge help, because I agree with you. Many startups, they don't realize that compliance issue and they find out very late.
Yeah. Thank you.
Very bright academician and as well as the entrepreneur, and he's my neighbor and friend.
Thank you, Dr. Rafiq. I hope this was no nepotism that I'm getting the mic here. Very quickly, I think kudos to all the organizers for setting up such a wonderful flow, because you've built up starting from, you know, 400, 500 startups which you were mentoring there in Hyderabad and other places, then to, you know, Silicon Valley input. And now we are talking about larger institutions, whether it is in diagnostics or in medical device or hospitals, RMI, or the federal government. My question really is twofold. One is that I really would like to hear and see that how the very core of the medical students, as one of our younger medical students weighed in on that, how the medical students and the curriculum around is being communicated with the PMC or PMDC or whatever currently exists, that do they have a little bit of flexibility in changing and modifying the syllabus for that sake, so that these younger children do get an opportunity. For example, I graduated from Aga Khan University, and we did have an electives program for 3 months in the final year where we could go and do whatever we were, you know, interested in. So if that is now currently the process in the public schools or the other private schools, that is one. And second, I see this ORIX, you know, all across, but every university now has to have an ORIC, but they exist in silos. I think there should be some comment from some of those who know a little bit more about that, that is there a national activity, effort, where all of these ORICs are put together, and there is some little bit of collaboration, which is not really for the purely publication and promotion purpose, but really for the impact, innovation, to have the impact or implementation purpose. Is that currently happening, or is it still a void or a gap?
I'll respond to the ORIC part. Well, Dr. Noshaba was here. She's left. She looks after the entire ORIC at HEC that funds and helps the ORICs at different universities. The biggest problem with ORICs, and that's a very frank debate we have with them, it is a professor that teaches a particular subject and has been given an additional charge to look after the startup activity at a university as well. So it's absolutely, it's extremely difficult for them. They're hardly, they have like 2-3 people running the entire setup, and that too as additional charges. It is with most of the universities. The only bright universities that are tech enabled in their own ways, like FAST or the GKeys or NUS, they don't actually need an ORIC for their startups or for university-led innovation. So ORICs are need to have better in terms of manpower, in terms of training, and to start with have full-time people running them.
So not only I think that is needed that a obviously HEC would be doing that to collaborate and bring all the ORICs on one page and probably enforce some vitality and spirit into ORICs, because to me it seems like they're sleeping cells at this point. In most university, I'm not talking about all, but also I was thinking that like Park Angels and we at Revival Labs and TAJDEED and other like Saira is doing on her own, and then somebody's Rahman Institute is doing on their own, the mentorship. We should probably come together to create a platform where, you know, we can help these young people who do not have even bootstrap money, but at least we have to inculcate that culture of the hard work, even if it's not their own money. Because I attended one of the POC launch seminars in Silicon Valley 2 years ago, where a general concept was that the money that VC funds from Silicon Valley were given to Pakistan entrepreneurs. There were some, not all, but some of the founders bought BMWs and houses. And so when you, and I'm personally probably old school, I'm opposite of that. When I have my money on the line, I may not feel that much, but when I take money from somebody else, I feel double the responsibility. I feel that that's really, really a very, very high responsibility when I'm picking up money from somebody else.
I think that's a very valid point, and that's why Park Angels, though we focus on early stage startups on angel investment, that we also have designed that Park Angels plays a role once a startup get funded, angel funding, that they must need to provide reporting and the milestones, and then the money would get released in tranches to them also, based on the milestone they would accomplish. Especially in the early stage of startups, it's very easy to be less wise about spending money. So I think that's a very important matter that we must need to, because if we don't have that kind of discipline, how are we going to build the confidence for more angel investors to come in and invest in? And that goes out all the way through, whether it's phase 2, phase 3 and invest.
Right. Thank you very much. I think we conclude this session and all the 3 sessions. And we are very honored that our chief guest, Mohammad Janzeb Khan, is among us. And I will, after introducing him, present a brief summary of what we learned today, so that he will be apprised and can give us his input, what the future look like for startups in Pakistan. So Mohammad Janzeb Khan is currently holding, he's a secretary, Special Investment Facilitation Council, SIFC, but he's an ex-civil servant and a former deputy chair of Planning Commission. Currently, he's serving, like I said, in SFIC, but he also advising the government on effectiveness. He has more than 35 years of experience in public service and has held key leadership positions in federal and provincial government. So we are very glad that I think it's directly related to his portfolio at this point. But now we had, sir, before you came, we had actually 3 sessions. Excuse me, my throat is. But basically, what we did was that we developed 3 sessions from the idea of validation of idea, how the startup starts, and that was moderated by Dr. Fareed Suri. And we had in our panelist, Dr. Sadia Hassan, representing Revive Pharma, and then Anwar Khan representing Park Angels, and Shahid Wasim, who represented Oric of NUMS University, and Noshaba Wais, who represented Higher Education Commission, Research for Innovation, as well as Asfar Hussain, Director at the National Incubation Center, Hyderabad. So we discussed about how the universities and other cultures can make this awareness amongst the youth of Pakistan, as well as young adults, how to be a risk taker. Some of our panelists said that first thing that they need to learn is how they can be risk taker rather than job seeker. So I think, I was a one-time young person coming out of Rawalpindi Medical University here, and I was looking for job. And one job after another job after another job, and not finding my way, I left the country in 1993. And so we keep coming back to our motherland, our alma mater, RMU, especially with the progressive vision of Vice Chancellor, Professor Muhammad Umar. We keep coming back because we want, and already RMU has taken a lead in all the innovations, all the new education, what Dr. Umar has already told many times. But this is another aspect that Rawalpindi Medical University is taking, to be the hub of the innovation center, to be the first university tackling AI in education and various facets of startups. So we discussed all about that. And then in the second session, we had our moderator, Dr. Babar Rao, who came all the way from New York City. He's an eminent dermatologist and professor at Rutgers University in New Jersey. And he has his own startups as well. So he moderated that second session, and we have the panelists as Dr. Saira Siddiqui, CEO of MedIQ, and Taimur Malik, as well as Akbar Alana from Director Quality and Marketing and part of the Alsons Group, Precision Manufacturing. And then we also had Mohammad Irfan Malik, founder and CEO of X7 Solution. So here we talked about how to market Launchpad, that idea that has been incubated and maybe have come to the prototype stage and proof of concept. So now how do you find the market onset and mandates and market Launchpad? Then the third and final session that we had just before you came, and we were concluding that session, was about the growth, development, resource, and investment. So now the idea has been matured, and it's already beyond the proof of concept, already beyond the seed and angel round, and ready for maybe more investment from VC funds and other investors. So here I moderated that session, and we had panelists. We have panelist Dr. Rizwan Uppal, who's the chair and CEO of Islamabad Diagnostic Center. And we have Murtaza Najabat Ali, Dr. Murtaza Najabat Ali, who is the CEO of Revive Medical Technologies. And we have Shafiqur Rahman, CEO of Rahman Medical Institute from Peshawar. And we have Muhammad Ali Muhammad, Director of Research and Market Intelligence, Special Technology Zones Authority. So with this panel, we discussed many ideas, how to seek investment, how to scale up your startup and how to commercialize your product in a way that is obviously fruitful for you and for the country. So the idea that what we're looking into, the goals of today's session was, of course, bringing all these stakeholders from all over the Pakistan, be they are physicians, entrepreneur, or engineer, biomedical engineers, investors, and startup founders and CEOs, to come together to see where we stand as pertains to the startup culture in Pakistan, which is very, very new. Somebody used the word embryonic. I would agree that it's not infantile yet. It's really embryonic. And we need to deliver it to infancy and take it from infancy to toddler and childhood, and then, see it walking, crawling, walking, and running. It will be a long journey, but we have to start somewhere. So we would ask Secretary Jahanzeb also his opinion where we stand at this point and what the government has in plan or vision for the startup ecosystem to flourish. But as a group today, we decided that HEC has a role to bring these ORICs in different institutions, universities. As you know, the Office of Research, Innovation, and Commercialization in every university. So HEC mandated that every university should have that, but HEC, I think, failed or did not know that these offices are open in all universities, but not many universities. Very few are like RMU, which is very forward-looking university. But in most universities that I know, ORIC office exists, but I'm not sure if that's functional. So HEC needs to make them functional and also bring them together so that at one platform. But as a private citizens of this country, all the stakeholders present here, I think, have a very sincere desire to come together and help these young scientists, young innovators, young our youth who's yearning for new ideas and finding their path after their university degrees, whether from medical schools or other, to find their path to be a risk taker and startup founder, rather than looking towards the government for the job. So that obviously that conversation will continue afterward. But at this point, I would like to invite your thoughts in that, and then after that, I will invite Dr. Umar also. But before I do that, I would, so that I don't forget, I would like to thank the following people who made this whole exercise, which we planned for 2 months or 3 months. The number one is our coordinator, Pashmeen Lakhani. Pashmeen has, standing here, right here beside me, has worked countless hours in the past 2-3 months to contact all these elite and important individuals to bring them to the table here today. In addition, Dr. Saqib Abbasi, my friend and a businessman, entrepreneur, originally a doctor from RMU, Dr. Mr. Nisar Haider Shah, Dr. Sayyid Uzair Gilani, Uzair Al-Ghani Irfan, very close friend and always our role model and mentor from Canada. Ali Fahad from Park Launch, and of course, Anwar Saab from Park Angels, always guiding us as well. Professor Muhammad Umar, Vice Chancellor. Like I said, this university is the flagship university for any innovation and other new ideas. Dr. Danish Bhatti, my colleague and chair of TAJDEED and Revive Labs with me. Mia Muhammad Ali Akram, cardiologist in again in Toronto, Canada. Waleed Chaudhary, another lead coordinator of Apna Merit, bringing this program together. And Dr. Usman Qureshi has been very helpful throughout this session, but particularly this session as well. Always available, always coordinating on behalf of Rawalpindi Medical University. So over to you, Secretary Jahazeb.
How much time?
For the
10
minutes.
All right. Well, thank you very much for this opportunity, and I'd like to commend the Vice Chancellor and his team for organizing this very important seminar, and also Dr. Shahid Rafiq and his colleagues who have participated in this important discussion. I would like to situate my views within a certain framework of how the health sector is evolving in Pakistan, and then speak a bit about the opportunities on innovation and startups. So as we know, the health sector predominantly has been public good in Pakistan, and the government has been, in theory at least, fully committed to providing health services, and that too free of cost, so to speak, to the citizens. So whether they are primary health services or public health or tertiary health care, the government has a very large footprint in Pakistan. We can talk about the quality of those services or the reach and the affordability and out-of-pocket expenses. All of that is are very important consideration. But the government has never formally recognized the role of the private sector in healthcare. So that's something that I like to highlight. So I haven't seen a formal policy of what is the role of private sector in healthcare. And that's a void. That's a void which in practice is not there, because the private sector is very active. It is involved, it is engaged, it's providing all kinds of services. But the first parameter around which I think some debates should take place is what is the role of the government in healthcare. Obviously, from a public policy perspective, the government must ensure public health care, and public health is predominantly a public good, which can't be delegated. Also, primary health care is the government's foremost responsibility. But beyond that, there are other instruments of financing healthcare. And if private sector is enabled, the government's role would then be largely towards how to support those citizens who do not have the means to access quality services, and how to finance. Insurance is one model, but there are several other ways of providing healthcare services. Because of this void, the private sector itself has taken off and has taken off quite well, primarily because the gap was there and the need is there. And people have provided all kinds of services, beginning from private practice in the form of clinics where advice was available, to private hospitals, diagnostics, health services. Now, of course, private sector was always very active in terms of working with the government for provision of medical devices, pharmaceuticals, healthcare products. All of that always came from the private sector, but the actual provision was in the public sector. So today's landscape is very different. In some ways, the private sector dominates in some of the areas and has more credibility and has better service quality. Moving forward, we have to also create a very clear delineation of where is the public space and where is the private space in healthcare, so that the investors would then have a clear visibility of where they can add value. With the development of information and communication technology, there's a whole new range of services and products which has developed to provide various kind of public services as well, but private services.
be it healthcare, agriculture services, extension services in the agriculture. The farmers are benefiting from advisories through communication tools on what needs to be done, what is the weather like, what is the soil conditions, what is the pest conditions, etc., etc. And this is happening in Pakistan as well. Similarly, information is available about traffic services, about even the police services are more and more online. So some public services have become more accessible to the citizen because of this new development. Not so new, but it has taken off in Pakistan as well. And so have medical services in many ways. New medical services are available. Home services, particularly during COVID, took an exponential leap. And a lot of people are now accessing services through their communication technology. Telemedicine, of course, was always there, but has also taken a new form and shape. Beyond that, the citizens and customers are requiring new products. For instance, there's need for, with the change in the social outlook and social fabric, more and more people require services at home. They might not have attendance. There is no more longer term needs. Chronic ailments have increased, so have lifespans, and that creates a new kind of set of services which is also in need. Within this, the combination of AI and information technology provides new opportunities to design products for the market which are as yet not either available or to scale. And in some cases, we have seen products which have really addressed the niche market and need of what is being demanded by the segments of the society. Some can afford, some would wish to have those services. In some cases, the government would also be willing to support those as a purpose of social policy. So these products, which are being tested and used in some cases, are now expanding, but they're limited by 2 or 3 factors, which, and my exposure to this is not very close, so, but from a distance, the 2 or 3 factors which kind of inhibit or retard the growth of these innovations is the combination of faculties and the multidisciplinary approach which is required to put together these new products. So it's not only about knowledge of medical sciences or medical needs, but also working closely with IT professionals and working closely with telecoms and also the marketing side of it and the quality assurance side of it, and all of those important elements of service delivery. The second factor which impedes their growth is the lack of capital. And lack of capital is at both levels. At the first instance, it is regarding the non-availability of capital to test those ideas and to take them to the next level, to see if they are worth pursuing. And they, of course, mention risk takers. This is the risky part. And of course, if it's your own money, then it's your money at stake. But if it's somebody else's money, then you have to also look at how it could be paid. But the second level is that once this proof of concept is established, then how do you take it to scale or to the next level? And banks here in Pakistan are quite shy of lending to novel ideas, and even they are. These people might not have the collaterals and the means to get the fiduciary requirement done. So in the Planning Commission, we have established a venture capital opportunity for startups, and they're primarily in the IT sector. But IT sector by itself is not a sector. It can work on any particular area of economy. And we are also experimenting with this. Previously in the government of Punjab, where I also was working at that time, there was a startup fund which a lot of companies accessed. Some were successful, some not successful, but that's how it goes. But since these were in project forms, therefore, their longevity, their permanence was always in question, because this can't be a project. It has to be an institutional design and structure where such kind of monies are available for innovators and those who want to try new enterprise to not only do good for themselves and earn profit, but also to provide services which are required and of quality. So our own thinking in this is to see how we can design some and support venture capital funds. And these could be sectoral, looking at particular sectors. For instance, agriculture, it's a very, very big economy and requires a great deal of support from the financial side. And the healthcare and education also is turning into a big social sector, which a lot of people are innovating with services which are required by and large throughout the country. So that is something in design. From the perspective of this seminar, I would imagine if the association has this capacity to support some of these innovations, it might be a good model, which if successful, government can also become a bigger partner in that. Third impediment that I see is the lack of formal relationships that you can have with the government, because the government is there at scale. It has a great presence. If the quality of services could be questionable, it could always improve. But the infrastructure is a very established and large infrastructure in the country, beginning from medical universities, tertiary care, hospitals, down to very small health units all over the country. This infrastructure is available. So one of the key areas of investigation is to how to utilize this infrastructure in a partnership mode, so that the startups don't have to invest in capital. Investment can be minimized, and they can use some of the public infrastructure to provide their services, such as the university here. Its public infrastructure should be available for such activities, and similarly the other healthcare infrastructure that we have in the country. So that was the fourth pillar, if I may call it, about partnerships. So in conclusion, I would suggest that the work that you're doing is happening in the country, in your support. And when I say your support, I'm talking about the APPNA, and I think we should commend the extremely good work that you do here, not in terms of transmitting back knowledge and technology back to the country and looking after your alma maters and through them the citizens of this country, but also this new leap of bringing innovative solutions to healthcare, which is so much required here, because the public budgets alone cannot manage this. It's a large population, the needs are huge, and it's a vast country. Some of the areas are very sparsely populated, areas like Balochistan, etc. The north of the country, Gilgit-Baltistan, provision of healthcare is extremely challenging. But of course, they are citizens of the country, and they also deserve the same quality of services that are available in some of the bigger cities. I'd like to appreciate your efforts. And we, in the Planning Commission, I still happen to be there, but also in the SIFC, I'll just take 1 or 2 more minutes on the role of SIFC, on how it can help you facilitate. SIFC is a platform which is in the Prime Minister's office, and has a dedicated team working there, and they are responsible to support investments into the country. Now, we already had what we still call the Board of Investment, and that exists. But over a period of time, it had lost some of its efficacy and its ability to getting things done. And the regulatory and the bureaucratic procedures have become quite daunting. So it was difficult for people like you coming from elsewhere to navigate this very complex landscape. So some months back, June last year, no, June this year actually, we started this and we've already functioning and we've been able to achieve some good work. Some of the investors are quite glad that they could work through this platform and get things done, because we have several institutions. Notice some of them mentioned here. You have the tax authorities, the regulatory bodies on medicine, drugs, you have the provinces, you have the local governments. So it can be quite a daunting landscape if you've not lived here and you are not familiar with this complex matrix. So we at the SAFC would welcome if there would be any effort from your side to do something in which you think we can be facilitative, or we can help you close those projects or those investments. We are just a click away. So thank you very much.
Dr. Babar Rao and Dr. Fareed Suri, the moderator of the previous sessions, as well as all the guests, panelists, and attending. But here's the Professor Umar, Vice Chancellor of RMU, to conclude this symposium.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I will not stay long between the lunch and final remarks. But anyway, this is my very pleasant duty to thank Secretary Saab, Dr. Shahid Rafiq, Rao Babar Saab, Suri Saab, and obviously all the delegate and participants who make this event a great success. What RMU have learned from this, because if Vice Chancellor learned, everybody learns. So, I think we are already committed not to produce from RMU the degree holders, which was in a lighter note said by one of the chief minister of one province, that degree to degree hoti hai, jali ho ya asli ho. I partially agree with him. So universities are committed to produce scholars who give research, who give evidence-based practices, and finally they provide knowledge and evidence to practice the knowledge-based economy, which leads to the prosperity. If you go back to the history, sir, so these universities are given this task because they produce scholars and they produce solutions. So we have to invest in the universities, not only the implementers or planners. So here the scholar will be produced maybe in the medical healthcare, maybe in the economy, maybe the education and IT-based solutions. So this is one thing further endorsed by this symposia. What action we will take, the part of curriculum, because I train undergraduate and postgraduate and faculty. So we already made some innovations and this artificial intelligence part of the curriculum, because they learn from the curriculum, not only from few hours of seminars. So 5% of the curriculum is sir, this is innovation and this artificial intelligence, and then they only become the job seeker and risk seekers, not the job seeker, which you mean. Secondly, the empowerment of ORIC. I hope ORIC needs to be, more with the broader visions, not as a department, but again, produce the entrepreneurship, not only the physicians and doctors. Then ORIC, the third is, as rightly said by the Secretary Saab, remember here, I was basically recruited by him as a principal first. So I'm indebted to him. So universities are the public sort of hubs for all this, and this can be used for any forum. And public infrastructure is the biggest infrastructure, which is usually most of time wasted. And you see one example here, you don't have to hire any hotel, you don't have even the cook, they can be used from this. So we are the sort of launching pad for all these activity in future. Certainly, me and my team will develop an ecosystem of governance system and include all this entrepreneurship, innovation model into our medical education. I thank you once again, and particularly you for sparing time, and all of my delegate from abroad and here who are participants. Thank you very much.
And besides the lunch, there are some vendors and young entrepreneur stalls that we can look at.
लतीफ ऑडिटोरियम की तरफ